When our story kicks off with Hanul getting called up to the stage. He waited his whole life for this. An official hands over his rank E-Hunter license, and he salutes like a proud soldier. Sure, it is a low rank, but this guy actually put in the work. He spent years studying every single scrap of monster lore he could get his hands on. All that grind finally felt worth it until reality hit him hard. The official admits he made a massive mistake and takes the license back. Ripped apart right in front of him, rank E is not even official. His entire world shatters into pieces in a single second. No stats, no glory. Real knowledge means absolutely nothing. Those harsh words burn deep, forcing a quiet curse from his lips. 7 years ago, he abandoned this dream, and now his backup plan is dying too. He is totally stranded because the only game paying his bills is shutting down. A final warning screen pops up, confirming the servers are closing forever. His main source of income was streaming a complex monster defense game. The basic concept is simple: deploy friendly beasts to fight off enemy hordes. But beneath the surface lies a brutally difficult strategy system. Upgrading your forces is crucial, but the actual success rate is terrible. To make things worse, one mistake wipes out your entire save file. Players call it garbage because the balancing is completely broken. Weak mobs can somehow instantly slaughter elite units, which makes no sense. He is convinced the developer is a sadist, yet he somehow mastered it anyway. He built a loyal following as a highly skilled veteran streamer. This channel was his last hope to survive, and now that is gone. We have all been there, desperate enough to sell a kidney just to pay rent. Today is his final broadcast, so he welcomes his small group of viewers. When a fan asks about his hunter career, he hesitates. He claims he technically holds a license, hiding the fact that he failed. Shifting focus, he announces a wild challenge to mark the final day of service. He is going to defend the main castle against an unbelievable horde. The goal is Wave 700, a feat no player has ever accomplished. Excited fans begin sending donations to support this final, desperate run. He clicks start, privately questioning why he is even putting himself through this. Tension fills the room as Wave 700 begins and the portal opens. Countless monsters flood out, pushing his defensive setup to its breaking point. He deploys a goblin archer who launches a glowing projectile at the lead beast. But the counterattack is brutal, and the tiny soldier screams in agony. A death alert flashes on screen, forcing him to grind his teeth. Losing a high-tier unit so early is a massive setback. His front lines are buckling, and if they breach, it is game over. Forcing himself to stay calm, he manages the threats directly ahead. He summons his powerful succubus queen to hold the main gateway. Just then, a terrible distraction throws his focus completely off. A massive three-headed monster roars, breaking right past his barricades. The queen scrambles to retreat, but the beast is simply too fast. The brutal final blow lands clean. System notifications flood in, confirming the losses. His units are dropping fast. Wave 700 is far deadlier than expected. Even his strongest, highest-tier summons start falling apart one by one. Every single ally he spent months raising gets completely erased in mere seconds. A massive explosion signals defeat. With no defenses left, his run is over. Only his castle remains standing, completely vulnerable and exposed to the horde. The streamer can only watch helplessly as his final line of defense crumbles. As monsters flood the throne room, a lone armored figure sits in silence. A system prompt reveals this is the first challenge of this wave. Because of this, the final lord will awaken, and our boy is completely lost. He is baffled because the alert stays locked onto the sleeping boss. She sits with closed eyes, then this stunning armored boss finally stirs. She finally wakes up, and our boy's brain completely blue screens. He cannot believe his own eyes because the final lord has actually risen. She stands entirely alone against the horde, something that has never happened. Hundreds of failed runs later, wouldn't you be just as confused as him? Her eyes ignite with a fierce red glow, and her golden sword slices. Our boy watches in pure shock as massive beasts are split clean in half. That was just one casual swing. The lord stares down the enemy army. Ignoring every system warning, she leaps straight into the middle of the horde. Falling like a golden comet, her impact triggers a massive, fiery explosion. Monsters fly backward in sheer agony. She lands, preparing for her next strike. Another devastating slash tears through the chaos as she moves. The kill counter rapidly climbs, and an elite beast drops dead instantly. This absolute beast moves like a blinding streak of golden light. Her glowing weapon cuts down enemies as the kill count stacks higher. Golden light floods the hall, shredding everything in sight. Seriously, how is this even possible? Our boy is completely left speechless. The Lord exhales slowly, gathering every bit of her strength before stomping down. One final, colossal burst of energy erupts outward from her entire body. It looks like she is channeling every fallen foe into this one strike. Endless alerts pop up, confirming the total annihilation happening on screen. She single-handedly clears the field, absolute dominance right in front of us. Her figure stands entirely alone on a mountain of fallen monster corpses. The system declares victory over Wave 700, and the streamer is stunned. He is totally shocked because he had no clue she was this overpowered. She was dormant this entire time, yet possesses such godlike strength. He checks his chat, but it is dead silent until a message pops up. It is from Viewer 1, someone who has not typed a word in 5 years. The viewer thanks him for waking their lord. Our boy ignores it at first. But they write again, swearing absolute loyalty to his supreme leadership. Then Viewer 1 just vanishes. He sighs, assuming it was just a troll. He thinks they were just messing with him, but then his eyes widen. A swirling vortex of wild energy bursts straight out of his screen. Bright light spins with impossible force, knocking him clean out of his chair. He collapses flat on the floor, eyes wide with terror as a crazy new reality hits him. A glowing system screen bursts to life, confirming this is a full-on reawakening. He still remembers the bitter words calling him weak, but now he is getting a rare second chance to grab real power for someone who has been underestimated his whole life. This is a completely fresh start. He grabs his streaming mic for one last broadcast, telling his audience he is diving back into the hunter world. A new day begins and he takes a deep breath, realizing this crazy reawakening is completely real. He immediately checks his status. Kim Hanul, but even with this reawakening, his main status window shows 0 changes, which leaves him pretty confused, but then hope returns as a second notification pops up, revealing details about his brand new skill. The description offers 2 main choices: contract the Lord or speak with the Lord. Since he has no clue what either choice actually does, he just picks blindly. He tries to make a contract with the Lord, but right before it activates, a bright red warning flashes, telling him he lacks the required objective to meet that condition. Our boy gets totally cooked. Harder than his failed hunter career. Then, a soft glow from his screen gives him another idea. He decides to interrogate the mysterious viewer who messaged him earlier. That exact viewer pops up online the moment he restarts his stream. Instantly, after locking the stream into a private, one-on-one chat, Hanul starts firing off the burning questions he genuinely wants answered. Since this person appeared right at the exact moment of his reawakening, Hanul is convinced they know something. Without wasting any time, he asks straight up if viewer number 1 knows anything about his reawakening. Surprisingly, the viewer says yes, explaining that Hanul has always known reawakening as something completely outside of human control, and maybe whatever forces behind the screen actually helped bring him back. Hanul asks why this is even happening, why some unknown being would help a struggling gamer get a second chance. The mysterious entity answers simply that the Lord chose him. That is the sole reason their master gave him this opportunity, because Hanul is the one who woke the Lord in the first place. The entity reassures him that all the confusion filling his head right now will gradually fade away with time, and that his new skill is just a small thank you gift from their master. Hanul ends the chat and starts focusing on how to actually use his new ability. The skill, titled Conversation with the Lord, has a cooldown, meaning he has to wait before activating it again. He accepts that, but demands to know why his other skills are locked behind some kind of paywall. The mysterious entity realizes its mistake, quickly fixing it by depositing 50 gold straight into Hanul's system wallet. With those funds, Hanul can finally test his skill and solve this mystery on his own terms. Once its work is done, the entity says goodbye and exits. Suddenly, a system notification pops up, confirming 50 gold has landed in his account. This brand new currency finally lets him activate the deal with the Lord skill, instantly opening a massive digital shop that displays a long list of buyable monsters. When he checks his His pathetic 50 gold only lets him buy one thing, a slave goblin. Everything else on the entire menu costs way more than that tiny amount. The most expensive character is the Lord herself, priced at 11 digits. That kind of insane price is totally out of reach for our poor guy Hanul. He figures this system works exactly like his favorite old tower defense game. Since the interface looks identical, a sly grin slowly spreads across his face. He realizes he does not need to be physically strong to become top tier. Hanul can just let his summoned monsters do all the heavy lifting instead. As he ponders his gold problem, something suddenly clicks in his head. In his game, players had two ways to make money: clearing dungeons or hunting. If those same rules apply in the real world, he can get rich fast. All Hanul has to do is slay monsters to gather the gold he needs. But there is a massive catch: his actual physical stats are in the gutter. He is way too weak to fight a basic slime, so he buys the goblin. Instantly, a blue sphere containing his new slave goblin materializes before him. Next, we see Hanul heading to the bustling Hunter Association to register. He officially signs up as a solo rank E rookie, hoping for a chance. The receptionist pulls up his file and finds 4 potential beginner jobs. Hanul compares the options and picks the absolute worst match for his body. It is a goblin extermination mission in a remote, hidden village. Tucked behind the mountains, the staff warns him that help cannot reach there. If anything goes wrong, he will be completely on his own out there. Who in their right mind accepts a suicide mission on day 1? Our guy, apparently. If he cannot be the strongest hunter, at least he will be highly experienced. When he finally arrives, the desperate village elder comes running straight to him. The old man is incredibly grateful that an actual hunter took the job. Still, he looks doubtful that a skinny teenager can actually protect them. He wonders if this kid can survive against such vicious mountain monsters. Appreciating the elder's honesty, Hanul just flashes a confident smile. He promises he will not let those beasts terrorize their home anymore. Marching straight into the dark forest, Hanul prepares for a massive fight. But the sight waiting for him is not what he expected at all. Instead of ravenous beasts, these monsters are just hanging out near the river. They are drinking water peacefully, like normal people taking a lunch break. Ignoring how weird this is, Hanul quickly accesses his system inventory. He retrieves the blue ball, holding his locked goblin companion. With a sharp throw, he tosses the sphere straight at the targets. The ball rolls right up to them, leaving the monsters completely baffled. Imagine throwing your only hope and getting absolutely nothing back. Hanul panics. The summon does not activate, and the wild beasts spot him instantly. Sensing immediate danger, they flash their sharp claws and charge forward to attack. With no other choice left, Hanul braces his body for the impact. He clenches his trembling fists, preparing to throw a desperate counter-punch. But just as the leading goblin is about to sink its claws into him, throwing a desperate counterpunch, but right as one of the goblins is about to sink its. Just as claws sink in, the system finally triggers. His goblin summon appears. He bursts out of thin air in a blinding flash of raw energy. The creature instantly slams a massive, heavy club right into the attacking monster. Staring closely at the summon, a sudden memory clicks in Hanul's mind. Back to his early days, streaming monsters block monsters. His very first pull was a weak, low-tier slave goblin, but over time, he absolutely loaded that trash tier unit with legendary, god-tier equipment. He turned it into an unstoppable beast, soloing 100 waves completely alone. He named that legendary goblin Gono. Now, looking at these familiar stats, he recognizes something instantly. The goblin is wearing familiar gear. It is the exact same top tier, a rank gear he spent ages grinding for online. There is no doubt about it anymore. This really is Gono, alive and breathing. Without a single second of hesitation, Gono goes absolutely feral. He tears right through 2 enemy goblins like they are nothing but paper. A third monster, sensing the terrifying danger, turns around and bolts. But running is useless. Gono is currently wearing the Raven Swingbeat shoes. The overpowered speed gear makes him move like a completely blinding blur. In an instant, Gono splits the runner in half before it can even scream. Talk about an overkill. Hanul just stands there, jaw dropped completely to the floor. He never truly realized how terrifying Gono was until seeing it live. Once the bloody work is done, the goblin walks back toward his master. Suddenly, Gono pulls the absolute cutest little expression out of nowhere. He looks just like a tiny puppy begging for sweet head pats. Hanul is left totally speechless. He never expected this side of a monster. A bright system notification suddenly pops up right in front of him. Gono's current affection level sits at 20 out of 100, maxing it unlocks a skill. Hanul, who usually analyzes everything like a cold, calculating gamer, completely forgets his initial hesitation to even touch the little guy. He immediately drops to his knees and hugs Gono like a reunited brother. Shaking it off and returning to the mission, Hanul spots a massive problem. None of the dead goblin bodies are dropping any normal gold loot. So how is he supposed to earn currency? Luckily, Gono already knows. The clever summon hops quickly from one corpse to the next. He plunges his hands straight into their chests, ripping out glowing stones. These are their raw mana stones. Suddenly, a mysterious portal opens up. Gono casually tosses the harvested stones right into the blue rift. In exchange for 3 cores, the Lord Castle of Illusion deposits 30 gold. Everything finally makes perfect sense now. The system acts as his bank. Monsters do not drop cash directly. You have to trade their mana stones. He exchanges them through the system, feeling incredibly grateful to Gono. Hanul showers his summon with affection for figuring out the mechanics so quickly. With his gold secured, he gets ready to gather physical proof of his kills. He needs proof for the association, but that was just a warm-up. Suddenly, a massive commotion erupts from deep within the forest. Heavy thudding sounds shake the ground, growing louder by the second. Huge trees get torn apart and crushed to splinters as a giant creature emerges. It is an ogre. The moment Hanul sees it, he immediately starts questioning every single decision he has ever made. A monster that size should only ever appear in a rank B gate or higher. There is no logical reason. Something like this should be hanging around a rank E mission area, but something else catches his attention. The monster is breathing heavily and its body is covered in fresh wounds, clearly the result of a brutal fight it just went through. Even so, injuries are no reason to underestimate a boss level threat, and the situation gets even worse when a red warning flashes on the system telling him Gono's summon timer has only 3 minutes left, though his loyal familiar steps forward completely fearless, despite the fact that his opponent is roughly 4 times his size. Gono glances back at his master with a confident look, almost asking for Hanul's trust, activating the Raven swing beat. Choose the goblin blasts forward at top speed straight toward the giant. The ogre roars and swings a massive tree trunk. It rips straight out of the ground, using it like a baseball bat to smash the tiny annoyance attacking it. But Gono is way too fast. He leaps high into the air, adjusting his position mid-jump to build up maximum momentum, then drops down like a meteor, aiming his club directly at the ogre's head. The ogre panics and raises both arms to protect its vitals, but Gono does not let up. The sheer pressure from the attack becomes too much for the creature to handle, and a horrifying cracking sound comes out as its arm bones shatter and ribs crush completely from the brutal impact, pushing his strength even further. Gono releases a massive shock wave that sends thunder-like vibrations rippling through the entire forest. The impact is so strong that Hanul actually gets dragged back several steps just trying to stay on his feet. In the end, the ogre gets completely obliterated by that insane burst of kinetic force. Hanul stands there absolutely shocked, watching this showdown of raw power, and he immediately runs over to celebrate the win with a little victory dance, completely overflowing with excitement. With only 3 seconds left before the summoning time runs out, Gono frantically grabs a massive mana stone from the ogre's chest and hands it over to Hanul, just in time before the familiar dissolves back into a little blue ball and vanishes. That leaves our guy standing there holding a high-quality monster core. Talk about hitting the jackpot on a lottery he did not even know he entered. A mysterious portal appears right on cue to collect the reward, and when Hanul tosses the low mid-tier mana stone into it, the system immediately credits him a clean 100 gold, bringing his total up to 130 gold. But the system is not done being generous yet, since this is the first monster our boy has officially defeated. He receives a premium gacha ticket as a bonus reward. But before he can celebrate, the sound of snapping branches echoes as a fully armed group of awakeners runs into the area. The moment Hanul recognizes the woman leading them, his heart misses a beat. This 10 out of 10 diva is Yun Sua from Team 2 of the famous Pong Bake Guild. This is the team that was fighting the ogre earlier and weakened it before it escaped. Hanul has just walked right in, finished their hunt, and claimed the kill. Safa glances at the ogre corpse and genuinely cannot figure out how this one man defeated it alone. With 3 of her B-rank hunters struggling, she realizes the man in front of her must be a rank. Her attitude instantly shifts, and she extends her hand, reintroducing herself. She can actually sense that a high-level entity is drawn to this man, which irritates her because she cannot understand what makes him so special. She asks if Hanul hunted alone, and he gives a vague answer that confirms it without offering details. She explains her team was fighting the ogre before, and she is relieved Hanul stopped it before it caused further damage. Hanul casually says he got lucky. Safa knows immediately that is impossible. Nobody kills an ogre by pure luck. After a moment of thought, she makes a decision that surprises everyone. She agrees to hand over all the mission rewards from the ogre hunt to him, but she adds one condition. She holds out her phone, demanding his personal number. Can you believe his luck? He is completely shocked by this sudden post-battle jackpot. The scene shifts to Hanul reuniting with the village chief, who is deeply grateful. The old man leads him down a path to the training monument, mentioning it brings good fortune. Hanul is in a great mood and decides to summon the treasure chest. Right there to do his gacha pull, his phone buzzes with a message from Safa, arranging payment and expressing interest in him through her personal phone number. Hanul does not think much of it because he is fully focused on the treasure chest in front of him. Hanul activates the chest and dazzling light pours out, but he does not get the armor. What drops instead is a pair of unique tier glasses that boost all his stats by 5 points each and come with an attached skill called Sage Eye. The skill lets him read detailed information on any target, including abilities and attributes, usable twice per day. In the game universe, a single unique tier item outperforms 3 or more E-rank items. Combined, he puts the glasses on, and the stat boost and unique effect immediately impress him. Then the system slams down a warning about an incoming wave attack. Notifications flood the screen, leaving him completely frozen. Wave 701 begins in 10 minutes, and he has absolutely no idea how to prepare defenses. When he looks at the game screen, the image he conjures is a hellish army of monsters swarming him. The system confirms that if he fails to repel the invasion, the Castle of Illusions will be destroyed along with all his power. Hanul gets a vision of cities burning and the world collapsing in total destruction. A blue gate spins open like a portal, identical to the ones from inside the game, and Hanul cannot understand why he is being forced to participate in something where failure could literally end the world. The system has already decided the round will begin in 10 minutes. Realizing he cannot keep overthinking this and must act immediately, Hanul sets his goal to stop the monsters and reminds himself that at its core, this game has always been straightforward. It is a defense game where the objective is to prevent monsters from reaching the castle. Essentially, it is a tower defense experience with a brutal difficulty level, on par with Hollow Knight, where strategy is everything from unit deployment timing to utilizing every available defensive structure and item. He has to weigh every single variable to build the best tactical setup. It is the only way to survive this crazy game. Now, Hanul's controls shift, working exactly like a touchscreen. He immediately opens up his monster inventory to find units he can deploy. It turns out he has 5 total creatures, 4 goblins and a single ogre. But here is the trick. He can deploy them without spending resources to recruit them first. Next, he checks if Sophie's legendary power is available. Unsurprisingly, that is locked tight. Desperate for backup, he tries buying more troops using his gold, but the system blocks him, freezing edits once the wave warning flashes on screen. Hanul really feels like the system is intentionally cutting his lifelines. Wave 701 features the fearsome Wyvern Count and an elite unit of dragon children, a 6-star boss commanding a massive force of 61 dragons, facing a 6-star foe. Is absolute suicide because star ratings dictate raw combat power. When the tier gap is this massive, the weaker side gets utterly vaporized. Now Hanul has to somehow beat a 6-star monster with a tiny squad of units that are only 1 star. This looks like a total death sentence, because a single dragon could easily wipe his entire team. Worse yet, he has no gold or extra monsters to salvage his strategy. Then, the system offers A single unique advantage. He can pick one defense structure and one item to equip every single unit on the field. On paper, it sounds like a major help. But Hanul is just annoyed. The game actually expects him to clear this impossible stage under these conditions. Talk about a raw deal, but since he is a hardened veteran of this brutal, cursed game, he adapts. Using every dirty trick, he starts shifting the environment, searching for any loophole to halt the incoming horde he is moving at breakneck speed with 8 minutes left, calculating every tiny variable until the timer ticks down to 15 seconds, with his setups complete. The countdown hits 0, Hanul braces himself, and then the assault begins. With absolute fury as a swarm of wyverns blackens the sky, targeting the castle directly. Leading this terrifying horde is the Count himself. Right from the start, the beasts throw themselves violently against the barriers, desperate to tear open a gap. The Count gets visibly annoyed that his monsters have not breached the outer walls yet. More beasts dive into the fray, throwing everything they have to break the walls. But get this. This entire chaotic clash is playing right into Hanul's hands because he immediately activated the infinite barrier. This boosts the defensive rating by full 100 points against all incoming damage. The barrier cannot be destroyed, but there is a catch. It can only be activated when the player's active units are rated below 2 stars. But even with this unbreakable shield up, a massive wyvern suddenly unleashes a devastating torrent of fire, nearly destroying the entire shield. A single hit, the only reason it holds together at all is its special self-healing effect. That is the one thin lifeline keeping everything from completely collapsing right now, but a much bigger threat is still looming. System, sure, every separate strike only shaves off 1 point of the shield, but 61 dragons attacking simultaneously, that means absolute chaos. That barrier durability drops instantly, fast. It is a massive gap in the system. Luckily, Hanul already has a clever trick figured out. His solution, extreme spam clicking. He taps like a rhythm game pro while his goblins burn. Every single click restores 1 point of defense immediately, so the only speed limit is how fast his fingers can move. His hands begin aching almost instantly. Still, this is the most reliable method to guarantee the barrier stays completely intact through this assault. But a bigger question remains: how does he actually win? Defeating monsters operating at a basically divine power level is impossible. And as it turns out, the answer is surprisingly simple. The barrier can actually reflect those incoming attacks, dealing 1 point of damage back on every single hit. Usually, a goblin cannot hurt a wyvern. That is normally completely impossible, but thanks to a special A-rank item Hanul has equipped, that damage can bypass any massive rank difference entirely. That means even a basic 1-star unit can damage a 6-star enemy. Slowly, those wyverns start weakening, 1 painful point at a time. Soon, one giant beast notices Hanul chipping away and flies into a rage, but cannot do a single thing about it, no matter how mad it gets. At this rate, Hanul calculates it will take 60 hours of fighting to wipe them out. 60 hours. This is going to be brutal. He just has to keep tapping the screen without stopping. This endurance war has officially begun. Hanul continues to tap without pausing, quietly wondering who will break first. Would you survive a 60-hour session? Him or his gaming fingers? Meanwhile, the rival forces keep grinding each other to pieces down at the bottom. As the hours drag on, Hanul starts to feel genuinely exhausted. When he reaches for a glass of water, his whole body freezes. He realizes he is not even allowed to interact with anything outside the system. He has to endure it all. With 0 breaks, no water, no food, just absolute gaming focus until the battle is completely finished. An ordinary person would have lost their mind from sheer desperation, but for Hanul, this is just a standard gaming session. Suddenly, one massive dragon goes completely wild, unleashing a fire breath that tears through huge chunk of the shield durability in one go. Instead of panicking, Hanul grins. This pressure is exactly why he loves this game. 2 long hours have passed, and there are still 58 hours left. The penalty for failure is completely catastrophic. If he loses, the whole world goes down. Yet he is casually treating a world-ending event like a 60-hour hardcore raid. 12 grueling hours pass, and the wyverns are still throwing a fit. Yet Hanul has not even reached the halfway mark of clearing them. Still, his strategy is simple: chip them down 1 click at a time. Finally, the first dragon drops, and the enemy numbers start to fall. With 56 remaining, he holds the defensive line tight. New day begins. Hanul commands the entire battle from his room as the enemy numbers keep dropping while his troops fight on. Above, wyvern forces fill the sky, darkening the horizon as the elf lord on the battlefield watches his soldiers fall one by one with a cold expression. Explosions rip through the enemy lines, and the kill count keeps rising without stopping. Finally, only 2 monsters remain, allowing the exhausted Hanul to relax. No more threats then. Terrifying warning flashes on the screen. A single goblin sprinting across the battlefield gets blasted by an attack from above. The last wyvern dives in for the kill, charging up a powerful blast, and shoots 2 fireballs straight at the Lord's barrier. The barrier strength hits 0, shield shattered. Hanul realizes in absolute shock that this happened because he fell asleep. If the castle takes even one single hit, everything is over. He recognizes the goblin right away. It is go. Both of the enemies charge forward. Go leaps at the now unprotected lord, going for the final blow. As the impact shakes the entire battlefield, the virtual world collapses as Hanul stands alone with a system message confirming his victory. He can barely believe it. It is actually over. He lets out a massive victory shout, shaking his entire room. Relief washes over him, but then bone-deep exhaustion hits next, and he passes out on the spot. When he finally wakes, his head pounds with pain, but something feels different in the air. Reward notifications wait for him, along with loot from the monsters, though he wonders what any of these items will ever do for him in the real world. A new skill is waiting, and he has met 2 requirements for it, one involving his conversation with the Lord. The skill's name sounds strange enough that he decides not to think too hard about it. For now, then the final reward is announced, and a bright light fills the room as power glows from a mysterious item he stares at with genuine confusion. Just then his phone lights up, showing 7 missed calls from Sui. The scene shifts to the towering Pong Bay Guild headquarters, where Sayuk, the second in command of the S-rank guild, wonders out loud how an E-rank hunter could possibly have killed an ogre, completely sure Hanul is faking. Sui brings up the chance of a reawakening, but Sayuk immediately rejects it, calling the idea a lie. Sui is surprised. Shortly after, Hanul arrives at the lobby looking visibly late and guilty, hurrying over to the 2 siblings who have been waiting. He bows and starts to explain why he couldn't answer their calls, but before he can finish, a cold voice cuts him off. Sayuk gets furious about Hanul ignoring his sister's calls for 3 full days, but Sui immediately turns on her brother and tells him to stop. That is when Hanul finally figures out that this is Sui's extremely powerful older brother. The tension settles once Sui accepts Hanul's explanation and gets straight to the point, offering to handle the ogre body he killed. The hunter decides on filing an official report with the Hunter Association. Later, at the association office, a staff member listens to their account while Sui gives a witness statement confirming that Hanul killed the ogre. The staff member explains they are short on proof, and Sayuk's mood darkens in the room, pushing the staff member to quickly add that for high ranking, these monsters require official checking. They must measure Hanul's stats. She wants to measure his stats using a proper mana tool. Hanul suspected a reawakening but could not verify him. That is precisely why she personally backed him up, which led to this alternative test. Our guy looks extremely confident and agrees without hesitation. First, the machine tests another member, showing a simple D rank. Next, it is our hero's turn, and Hanul looks incredibly anxious while her brother closely watches. Her brother treats this as the perfect chance to evaluate his true potential, especially after catching a powerful constellation's eye. If he turns out to have 0 talent, he is totally worthless. Our hero calmly steps up and places his hand on the giant stone. He thinks it has been a very long time since this. Just like any other ordinary hunter out there, his mana was last tested 7 years ago. Now the machine glows. As they wait, Liu Sayuk spots a strange reaction. The test ends and his rank is revealed. It is an S rank, an incredibly shocking result that stuns the room. Even he did not expect this. The system ended up granting him an incredibly broken new skill known as Lord's Afterimage. It copies the strongest monster's stats. It lasts for 30 minutes once a day, letting him borrow wyvern stats. That is exactly the little trick he used to spike his power for this test. His power temporarily jumped to legendary levels, making him look S rank. He temporarily matched the power of a top-tier hunter. Absolutely nobody catches on to the trick, making him look like a legendary rookie S rank. Both siblings are stunned, and even the strict Sayuk offers a compliment. Now he gets official recognition. The guild staff confirms he was indeed the one who soloed the ogre. He thanks the siblings and prepares to leave. But Sayuk blocks his path, formally inviting him to sit down for a quick coffee. A massive deal for anyone else. Naturally, everyone nearby is losing their minds, but check out his reaction. He bluntly rejects her, explaining that he can easily get any guild information quite directly. Strolling off, he leaves a highly frustrated Sayuk completely speechless. By the time our guy finally gets home, his face is already plastered on the news. The broadcast registers him as a B rank due to association limits. Association rules ban jumping more than 3 ranks. Meanwhile, his own stream chat is buzzing with rumors about this mystery hunter. Our guy just acts clueless, pretending he has absolutely no idea. Speculation is off the charts. Everyone wonders who would dare reject Sayuk and which guild he will choose. Once rumors spread that he turned down all offers, the chat explodes. Our guy quickly announces some fresh hunter content. His audience seems pretty skeptical, but he knows how to hook them. He asks them to recommend a dangerous dungeon for him to clear. Promising to stream the entire dungeon raid live sends massive, intense shockwaves through the chat. That is strictly forbidden, since hunters are bound by heavy secrecy laws. He refuses to leak dungeon details, promising only to show his completion certificate. He will describe the experience afterward, keeping his chat happy. The fans get hyped, hoping a single streamer can expose guild secrets. One viewer suggests the Mad Dragon, another drops a donation. 50,001, they recommend the Kitchen Dungeon of the Giants. 1,000,001 donation arrives, begging him to hunt down the Spider Queen. As donations keep climbing, the massive wave of cash completely overwhelms him. He begs his chat to chill, then he freezes. A massive 10,000,001, the entire stream falls dead silent. It looks like he just hit the jackpot with an incredibly wealthy fan. But this massive support actually comes from a highly powerful, sovereign figure. Curious, he asks which deadly dungeon this mysterious high roller wants him in. The absolute deepest section of the Garden of Meditation, the chat completely panics. It is a total suicide mission. Nobody has ever cleared it successfully. That zone is split into the entrance, the central lake, and the deep. While the entrance remains safe for hunting, the danger spikes past it. No one even knows what waits at the end because the lake is impassable. Even the top hunter in the country, Suhayuk, turned back at that point. The legendary expert realized his own limits and refused to push his luck any further. Can you imagine trying to outdo the strongest hunter in the nation? Even Hanul agrees, this task borders on a literal death sentence. But the wealthy donor clarifies he only needs to reach the deepest section. Massive rewards and major backing are promised if he actually pulls it off. Don't do it, his viewers immediately beg him not to take the risk. They are terrified their favorite streamer is going to die just for content. Hanul admits the danger, but surviving the deep zone seems worth the shot. With such a massive payoff on the line, he cannot help but accept. He boldly shouts his promise, firing himself up to conquer this deadly zone. He immediately heads over to the Hunter Bureau to lock things in. At the counter, the clerk processes his registration for a solo run. Hearing he wants to tackle the deepest section, her jaw drops. It is too dangerous. She warns him flatly that it is suicide. Hanul does not even blink, calmly telling her to just process the files. She tries to schedule the run for next week, but he pushes back. Since he is going in alone, there is no team to coordinate with anyway. He manages to secure an official slot for tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. Walking outside, he is approached by 2 strangers, total heavyweights. It is Numyong Han and Son, top scouts from 2 massive guilds. They represent Aegis and Sinri, and news of his reevaluation is already out. And honestly, who can blame them for wanting this rising star? Both are among the top 3 guilds in the entire country. Their massive offers easily dwarf anything Guild Pongpeak could ever propose. But Hanul has absolutely zero interest in playing nice with them. He simply walks away, ignoring their legendary reputations without a second thought. In his mind, joining any faction would only end up holding him back. The dungeon is his only focus right now. Meanwhile, he calls Su-hyuk and casually explains his plan to reach the deepest section of the Garden of Meditation. This is the exact place Su-hyuk himself never managed to reach, which is exactly why he is asking the S-rank hunter for any useful information. He has, naturally, Su-hyuk's first reaction is to refuse to share anything. But then Hanul drops that he has a secret method to clear the dungeon. And it hits like a punch to the gut. If he succeeds, he will publicly credit Guild Pongbake for the support. This is a smart, mutually beneficial offer. Giving both sides something to gain, Su-hyuk agrees even though he is deeply curious about what this mysterious method could actually be. Meanwhile, Hanul confidently confirms that he absolutely has a way. Su-hyuk tries to make another offer, inviting him to join their guild, but Hanul shuts that down without a second thought when Su-hyuk tries playing it cool, acting like he is the only one interested. Hanul casually mentions that the Aegis and Sun Arai guilds have already reached out, talk about a major shock for Su-hyuk because it means other guild leaders are already moving. Hanul keeps the pressure on, hinting that Guild Pongbake's offer is lacking, and Su-hyuk eventually gives. In handing over what he actually called for in the first place, he then makes one thing clear: he has no information on the deepest section. Specifically, and the layout of the dungeon may have changed over the past year. Hanul is fine with that and works with what he has. Soon, he arrives at the meeting spot wearing glasses, where the waiting men spot him right away. A bald man named Guangsu introduces himself as a member of Guild Bogle. And Hanul greets him normally, but Guangsu has already done his homework on Hanul's reevaluation results and is not impressed at all. He is the type who has never worked alongside an S-rank hunter before and is annoyed that Hanul signed up for this trip completely alone. He makes it clear, in the rudest way possible, that his guild has its own separate mission and has absolutely no plan to offer help. Hanul calmly agrees to those terms. Without even blinking, since he does not care, the bald man walks off, acting like an S-rank title means nothing, while Hanul stands there surprised. These people are already so touchy on day one. Still, he admits he is lucky to get in at all, since a dungeon of this level normally requires a minimum team size and at least a month of advanced booking. These guys have been waiting a long time, while he walked right in on day one, so bad feelings make a certain kind of sense, even if they are ridiculous. He quietly turns on Sage's eye to check their rankings, and the result is exactly as weak as expected, because every single one of them is basically bottom tier and would be completely useless to him in the deeper sections, meaning this group is probably only good as bystanders at best. The bald man turns around to ask why he is smiling, and Hanul just says he remembered a funny joke. This sends these touchy guys into attack mode, instantly taking it as an insult. They look ready to throw hands. Before anything gets worse, the staff opens the dungeon gate for the raid. Green lightning crackles through the air as it swings open, and the hunters are told to enter before the gate. The portal becomes unstable. This is his very first time entering a real dungeon. Inside this world, he steps through, curious about what lies waiting for him. The system screen displays basic info, including the maximum raid capacity. Right at that moment, the Sovereign's helper sends a supportive good luck message. He even provides actual in-dungeon support, slightly altering the layout as a bonus. Once the team steps inside, the bald leader immediately senses something is off. He points out that the area looks completely different from the regular entrance. The strange sight instantly triggers a dark memory from his past. Meanwhile, his teammates stand around in complete confusion, staring at their surroundings. There is suddenly a massive lake sitting right where the entrance should be. The experienced hunters know exactly what this dungeon normally looks like. But this path is completely different, even for our S-rank hunter. This is his first time here, but he knows dungeon entries are usually easy. Based on everything Syup described, this place looks absolutely nothing like it. Suddenly it clicks. The system interface flashes with a brand new warning. An official briefing welcomes the panicked hunters to the lakeside. The sudden change sends everyone into a panic, desperately searching for answers. A new quest called the Pygmillet Massacre appears, ordering them to protect a group of pygmillets until nightfall. Success unlocks a path across the water. Failure, on the other hand, means everyone dies on the spot. This brutal condition hits the C-rank hunters like a bucket of ice water. It becomes painfully clear that they are not prepared for this danger. Terrified, Guangsu's own teammates beg him to pull out immediately. But when they try to access the exit option on their screens, they find they are locked inside. Talk about a complete nightmare. The bald leader, Guangsu, has been searching frantically for an escape route. He is just as trapped as the others. The active pigmallet count stands at 130, but 2 are already dead, leaving only 128. As the numbers continue to drop, Guangsu panics and turns to our protagonist. He begs the S-rank hunter for any shred of guidance to help them survive. Our main character calmly explains that he is also in the dark. However, the moment he mentions having some basic information about the lake, Guangsu's eyes instantly light up with a glimmer of hope. He immediately begs the S-rank hunter to share everything he knows. The entire group quickly agrees to assist him in any way possible. Our main character laughs at the sheer irony of the situation. Just 5 minutes ago, they were cursing him out, and now they beg. He lays down a single condition. He will gladly share his knowledge, but they must cooperate fully. They must follow his absolute commands without question until the mission ends. This heavy demand directly challenges Guangsu's authority as their leader. It essentially puts our main character in complete charge, but time is ticking. The system announces that the pigmallet count is dropping rapidly. They have zero time to argue over who gets to lead. Guangsu knows they are doomed if they refuse, so he finally swallows his pride. He accepts but demands that if this plan fails, our main character takes responsibility. Blaming him, that is not even a fair demand, especially since he is doing them a favor. Fortunately, Guangsu listens closely and agrees to hear him out first before making any final judgments. Then, our guy maps out the entire terrain, absolutely every detail. He clearly explains how the massive central lake flows outward directly into the surrounding forest, forming a massive web-like pattern. Even the bald guy is completely shocked by how precise this information actually is. Our guy simply claims his scouting skill is top tier. This brings massive relief to Guangsu. Having him means they are not going in blind. The layout matches exactly what Sayuk described earlier, though. But here is the secret. Behind the scenes, our guy is actually working off the special map gifted by his #1 stream donor, a reward from the castle, meaning he never had to scout any of this himself. The mission itself is dead simple. He just has to protect the pigmalads from being killed, but naturally, they have to find the pigmalads first before they can protect anything. They are scattered across the swamp with 8 total nest zones needing heavy defense. Once the locations are confirmed, the plan is to move incredibly fast to stop attackers from wiping out any single zone before they can reach it. Our guy wants to gather all the piglets into one central spot to make defending easier. That is the basic outline of the plan, and his stream chat immediately tells everyone to start moving since the piglet count is actively dropping even while they are standing around wasting time. The urgency is real, and Guangsu's group wastes zero time running to find the different nest zones, though the bald guy cannot help but wonder what our guy is planning to do. He simply explains he will handle the piglets on his own. The guild leader easily accepts that. It is the best decision he makes all day, since it gives him the exact space he needs to work. His actual plan is to scout using his special lake map. He already noticed this zone holds a hidden mission with a special reward, which is far more interesting to him than the main goal. Before starting, he must confirm 2 critical things during the scouting phase. He wants to figure out what that hidden mission actually is. And second, identify which monsters are doing the killing. Since multiple monster types are in the area, he must confirm the actual cause. While scouting, he spots a pack of lizard men who look genuinely dangerous. It shocks him a little, and he immediately understands that these are the ones responsible for killing the piglets. This makes his plan harder, because even though individual lizard men are only D rank, moving in large groups gives them a massive boost, making them a completely different kind of problem. Realizing he has no business getting into a fight with them right now, he tries to slip away, but naturally, 2 complete fools show up out of nowhere, talking trash and walking straight towards him, putting him in an awkward spot. One keeps running his mouth right up until the exact moment his head is cleanly cut off by a monster leaping out of nowhere and killing him on the spot. Blood sprays everywhere as more lizard men show up. His friend is killed right before his eyes. He completely snaps from rage, throwing wild punch after punch at the beast. Delivering a furious barrage, he strikes again and again, hoping for a finisher. But it does absolutely zero damage, completely failing to pierce the creature's thick hide. It turns out these D-rank lizard men gain a massive group boost when clustered together. 2 quick stages of growth instantly elevate them into dangerous B-class threats. Armed with that buff, the beast easily rips the hunter's arm clean off his body. As he screams in pure agony, the monster raises its massive weapon to finish the job. Then out of nowhere, crash, go blocks the blow. The powerful goblin was summoned at the perfect moment to even the odds. This C-rank hunter can barely process what is happening right in front of him. The lowly servant goblin just saved his life, and then Hanul calmly walks up. He coolly reminds the hunter that he was supposed to stay in his assigned position. The bulky guy stammeringly explains that he got lost and accidentally wandered into this section. Hanul tells him to fall back and treat his wounds while he handles the threat. With that settled, he orders Go to start wiping out the lizard men immediately. Time is short, they cannot afford to waste it. He still has a hidden mission to find in this place, so Go gets to work. The goblin activates Raven's Swing, blitzing through the monsters at a terrifying speed. One down, another falls. It is a complete blitz. Meanwhile, Hanul just stands on the sidelines, totally relaxed and ready to take the credit. He knows that even with their numbers, these lizard men stand no chance against Go. But wait, looks like one lizard man actually has a working brain. It realizes that targeting the master directly might be their only shot at winning. With a desperate roar, the beast lunges straight at him to end things quickly. The beast lunges, but Hanul is already moving, too fast to catch. He immediately triggers Lord's Afterimage, borrowing powerful stats from his defeated wyvern. This temporary boost grants him C-rank strength for 30 whole minutes. Just like that, he swats the lizard man away, effortless, simple. By then, Go has already wiped out every single lizard man in the area. Hanul warmly praises his loyal servant, giving the small goblin a soft pat on the head. It is a bit of a weird moment, but the reaction is completely worth it. Shocked, the goblin turns shy, their bond spikes up. Hanul sells off his freshly collected mana stones, pocketing a solid chunk of gold. Since this is his first time selling lizard man stones, he receives a special bonus. The castle awards him a rare gacha ticket, which he decides to save for later. Just then, Go taps his wrist, signaling his summoning timer is about to run out. Hanul starts calculating his next move, but the goblin suddenly gets a greedy look. The small creature stares back, with eyes completely fixated on his coin pouch. Right on cue, a system screen alerts him that he can extend the summon. It costs 5 gold for every extra 10 minutes of summon time. Hanul finds this incredibly annoying. The system really never misses a chance to rob him. Knowing he has no other choice, he grumbles and pays the gold without an argument. But before he can even relax, a strange rumbling sound suddenly echoes nearby. Out of nowhere, a massive herd of pygmalats stampedes directly toward him, inducing panic. A cold sweat breaks out as he struggles to control a monstrous horde of this scale. These were supposed to be easy targets, but luckily, Duno steps in to save the day. He diffuses the crisis by speaking directly to the pygmalats, quickly capturing their attention. He passionately explains on their behalf how sincerely our hero wants to protect them. Filled with hope, the pygmalets immediately burst into emotional tears upon hearing this. They eagerly rush straight toward our boy to show their deep, heartfelt gratitude. Just like that, he finds himself guiding an entire stampeding herd through the dungeon. He looks exactly like an incredibly confused shepherd leading his flock. After managing that wild chaos, he resumes his scouting. With his goblin companion alongside, he easily dispatches any approaching lizard men. But when he attempts to sell another mana stone, a flashing red warning pops up. It announces the castle funds are depleted, halting all further sales of mana stones. He cannot trade until more gold arrives. Our hero has officially hit the limit. The castle cannot process any more lizard men. He stands there in total shock. He never expected the fortress to run completely dry on gold like this. Since hunting lizard men now feels like a waste of time, he stops completely. Instead, he focuses on counting the pygmalats he has successfully rescued. His personal count is 60, but the system shows a grand total of 70. This means the entire rival guild has only managed to rescue 10. Our boy single-handedly rescued 60 of them. Now watch, things get weird. The pygmalets begin behaving weirdly, acting very agitated. These supposedly harmless creatures suddenly start sprinting ahead as one. They lead the entire group straight toward the center of the lake. Denounces the attackers stopped hunting, and a legendary knight has officially arrived. The system congratulates the entire team. They successfully protected the piglets throughout the brutal massacre phase. Because their save count reached 70, they unlocked the hidden bonus objective. The exhausted members of Guild Bulgil are currently pushed to their absolute limits. They scream at the system, begging to escape this terrifying nightmare. But just when they think it is over, another notification flashes. It declares that the trial of meditation is about to begin. A colossal, shimmering wave of water suddenly surges directly toward the terrified hunters. Right before impact, the rescued pygmalets suddenly look incredibly serious. They leap forward to shield their saviors, leaving our Chad and go utterly speechless. Both stand there with their mouths wide open. The system quickly explains why. The pygmalets are returning the favor, protecting those who saved them. Our protagonist can hardly believe these weak creatures possess such incredible strength. It suddenly makes complete sense why they had to protect them. The entire escort quest was designed for this exact moment. He begins wondering if rescuing even more piglets would boost their defense. Curious, he glances over to see how the other hunters are doing. Unsurprisingly, most have only managed to save one or two creatures. The leader of Guild Bulgil is barely scraping by, exhausted and weak. His single rescued pygmalet is running on absolute fumes right alongside him. The guild members are in terrible shape. This worries Hanul deeply. He starts planning their escape. Right then, a sudden system notification pops up. It is the hidden quest he has been looking for all along. The objective is clear: locate and eliminate the true mastermind behind the trial. Slaying this hidden boss will end the event instantly, no waiting required. Forget the 10-minute timer. Hanul moves instantly, focused and ready. He slips his glasses on, activating his sage's eye to scan the area. He locks onto a dark presence, lurking exactly where the system predicted. Narrowing his eyes, he confirms the beast is a named monster called Zen. Huruk, it is highly intelligent, deadly, and masters devastating storm elemental magic. Named monsters are a different breed. This detail makes Hanul deeply uneasy. These high-ranked beasts possess specialized killer skills that normal monsters never get. Still, he remains calm. Hidden quests are never meant to be a breeze. Suddenly, Go gets fired up. The little summon prepares to charge forward. He aims to strike the boss hiding behind the towering, violent waves. But Hanul drags him back. No, you are benched for this match. Without natural water resistance, fighting inside a massive lake is pure suicide. In this watery environment, the terrain is more dangerous than the boss itself. Instead, Hanul opens the shop to bring in a specialized reinforcement. He selects an ogre berserker, a species known for natural water resistance. But as the summon materializes, a major worry instantly stops him cold. Unlike Go, this giant ogre has absolutely no gear to protect itself. It will get instantly crushed by a powerhouse boss like Zen Kuruk. Desperate to buff his new summon, Hanul pulls out a wild card. His premium gacha ticket. Despite the terrible drop rates, he uses it now. He desperately prays for any item that can bridge the massive power gap. The ticket burns away, releasing a blinding golden flash that makes him gasp. Incredible, an S-rank item, but his absolute thrill instantly turns into confusion. The summon loot looks totally useless for a high-stakes life-or-death battle. No time to waste. The turbulent currents are rising faster by the second. Hanul quickly materializes the giant ogre and equips the bizarre item. The moment the gear is equipped, the massive beast collapses face-first into the dirt. Suddenly, a terrified scream echoes. A drowning Bulgil guild member is going under. Without a single second thought, Hanul charges straight into the torrent. Frustration is written all over his face. This raid is falling apart. He grits his teeth. He will just have to carry everyone alone. Worse still, his high-tier afterimage buff only has 12 minutes left. After that, he reverts to a weak E-rank hunter with 0 options. Even with the ticking clock, he prioritizes keeping these people alive. But even with boosted stats, the violent, swirling floodwaters drag him down. His grip on a nearby tree trunk slips right as he lets go. The thrashing water miraculously calms. Looking up, he spots his summoned ogre. It stands firm in the deep water, wearing a wizard hat. This S-rank item turns brainless brute into a highly educated scholar. Suddenly, the beast speaks heroically, asking if its master is unharmed before bowing with absolute noble grace. He bows politely. He introduces himself as a humble servant. Definitely unexpected, our guy stands there confused by his servant's attitude. From his view, all he did was place an S-rank hat on the beast. That item belongs to Archmage Ganondorf. It is designed to boost intelligence. The stats can theoretically turn even the dullest creature into a genius. Still, he never imagined that pushing an ogre's intellect to this extreme would actually yield results this incredibly dramatic. He is stunned. He asks the servant how he can speak so clearly. The beast just flexes. He is eager to show off his upgrade. He happily announces that the gift his master gave him has completely transformed him. The giant bows deeply, waiting for his orders. Our guy holds up a hand. He needs to confirm one thing first. The monster immediately agrees, waiting eagerly for his master's next question. Can he use magic? The ogre answers with absolute confidence. He already enchanted his massive log, which gets our guy excited. Things are finally shifting. Seizing the moment, he knows it is time. He orders the giant to push through the raging waters ahead. The hat-wearing beast immediately forces his way into the violent rapids. He braves the brutal flow without a single complaint, earning a name. Calling him Odal, he tells the monster he is counting on him. Hearing his brand new name, Odal blushes instantly. Tears stream down his face. He emotionally vows to give everything, even his own life, to repay him. He charges through the heavy spray, carving a path for them. This sudden success makes our guy confident, but it also alerts their enemy. Zenkaruk feels uneasy, sensing that someone bypassed his magical barrier. This is no ordinary wizard, but he remains completely confident. His barrier cannot be broken. Odal reaches the wall and stops. He reports the obstacle, but our guy tells him to keep striking. Keep hitting the same spot. Hearing this, Odal tries to explain logically why a layered magical barrier cannot be broken with physical force alone. Our guy cuts him off mid-sentence, telling him to stop overthinking. Stop analyzing, just smash the barrier with brute force instead of magic. This makes absolutely no sense to Odal, but he obediently listens. He hammers the barrier, swinging his giant log like a bat. Zenkaruk grows increasingly anxious. His defense is beginning to weaken. Still, he is convinced an ogre cannot shatter his spells. Mastering both physical power and magical spells is simply impossible. No single beast can master both, yet as he continues to boast about his perfect defense, the entire magical barrier suddenly shatters. The lizard wizard is completely stunned, muttering that only an ogre could perform a miracle that was supposed to be completely impossible. He stares at the massive beast in the wizard hat in disbelief. His supreme seal was broken. He wonders if this is an ogre shaman. Our main character calmly asks the beast if he is Zenkaruk. The creature ignores him completely, focusing entirely on launching a deadly attack. The shaman has already burned through most of its mana, giving Tihan the upper hand. Against a severely weakened opponent, the giant lizard is about to unleash a devastating attack that could kill anyone instantly. Hanul tells Odolf to try a ranged magic attack to disrupt it. He expects his ogre to throw a fireball or something similar. He does not. Instead, Odolf simply hurls the massive log. He holds straight at Zenkaruk. The beast fails to register a real physical log is flying its way. Mid-speech, it arrogantly declares it has already won, boasting that no magic can breach its ultimate barrier, having predicted every possible spell. Then smack, it gets hit and its entire confidence shatters like glass, collapsing in absolute defeat. Hanul turns to his loyal servant, pointing out that what he did looked exactly like throwing a simple stick. Odolf instantly bows, apologizing. He admits he has not yet learned any spells useful for combat. The scene shifts to the Pong Guild headquarters. There, the leader is pressured to move fast and recruit the newly emerged C-rank hunter before rival guilds snatch him up, but he keeps casually brushing it off. Feeling zero rush to chase an S-rank hunter, he considers Hanul a total loser, comfortable knowing that his own guild already has plenty of elite hunters. Back in the dungeon, Zenkaruk is finished. Officially defeated, Odolf carefully harvests the mana stone, bringing it directly to Hanul, who praises his servant's hard work, but Odolf humbly insists that none of this would be possible without his master's guidance and support. The two almost bicker over who deserves more credit for the victory. Classic anime logic right here, before Hanul moves forward, selling the special soul stone to the castle. The system tallies up his rewards, granting a special zone development permit, 1 bonus gacha ticket and some gold, though it is slightly reduced since the castle is running low on funds. On top of that, Hanul now has the ability to deploy Zen Karok as a defender when protecting the castle against future waves. He decides to head back, saving the detailed reward review for later. Returning to the group, the only person still awake is a blue-haired beauty from Guild Boggle, who immediately asks if he managed to save everyone. She sincerely thanks him for his efforts, and Hanul asks about the current condition of the other guild members, and Pretty explains they are all alive and receiving treatment. Shortly after, their leader Guangsu steps forward wanting to speak with Hanul. He approaches in a tense way that almost looks like he's going to strike him. Talk about suspense, but then does something unexpected. He drops to his knees, thanking Hanul on behalf of his entire guild for saving everyone. He also sincerely apologizes for how he had acted when they first entered the dungeon. Hanul finds the whole thing pretty hard to believe, never expecting the guy he wrote off as pure muscle and no brain to actually offer a genuine apology. He reaches out a hand to help Guangsu back onto his feet, telling him to go take care of his guild members who still need him. They shake hands while Guangsu's eyes fill with tears, swearing to remember this debt and repay it someday. Shortly after, the system notification confirms that the trial of meditation has been successfully cleared, giving everyone the choice to either stay in the dungeon or venture deeper into its dangerous depths. Unconscious hunters get sent straight back home, while the others are free to make their own choice. When Guangsu hears that Hanul wants to press on, he immediately tries to stop him. He begs him to retreat for now, suggesting they pull back and regroup. But our guy simply summons his monsters, showing his unbeatable squad. Seeing these massive beasts, Guangsu completely freezes in shock. He finally understands why the young hunter is so incredibly confident and stops protesting. The rescued hunters offer their deepest gratitude before making a quick exit. Meanwhile, Hanul prepares to venture even deeper, chasing a feat no one has ever done. To make things even wilder, he completed a secret hidden quest. Because of this, the dungeon system pings him with some incredible news. A rare, extra special bonus reward is waiting for him right now. Meanwhile, we cut back to the guild leader, currently under massive pressure. His advisors, including Mong Han, are desperately trying to convince him to recruit Hanul. They keep arguing that their top-tier guild needs this kind of fresh talent. But the leader keeps shaking his head, pointing out their severe internal struggles. He argues that they have more than enough drama to deal with already. Besides, since Hanul is technically still ranked as a B-rank hunter, there is no rush. But just then, a sudden emergency alert flashes on his screen. A nearby gate has turned blood red, indicating an imminent dungeon break. The location is the Garden of Meditation, the exact same raid Hanul entered. Realizing the danger, the guild leader decides to head over there personally. A few hours later, he arrives at the scene with his elite squad. Local guards quickly brief them, explaining that the situation is rapidly deteriorating. Civilians are evacuated, but they urgently need Gil Pongbake's help to survive. Mong Han immediately cuts to the chase, demanding to know about the trapped hunters. A suited official replies that 6 of them have made it out safely. But there is still one crazy hunter who actually decided to go even deeper. Soon, the masters of the Aegis and samurai guilds arrive at the gate. A massive crowd gathers, all of them completely filled with curiosity. It is the first time anyone has ever pushed into the deepest zone alone. Every single guild master is desperate to uncover this mysterious player's identity. They are all desperately whispering, trying to guess who could pull this off. Finally, the official checks the system and confirms the name is Hanul. Oh, you are going to love this next part. Hanul pauses to review his rewards. The system screen pops open, breaking down his massive loot haul. The Challenger bonus alone grants a flat 10-point boost to every single stat. A contribution reward tosses in another 5, but then comes the real jackpot. He unlocks the ultimate hidden prize, the High Priest Dimensional Pouch. It is an upgrade storage item that immediately catches his eye. The description says it contains a pocket dimension that can hold a lot. It holds 100 kilograms, and inside are 30 lizardman hearts and 30 leather pieces. He also gets 30 vials of blood, all bundled as bonus loot. He smiles at this incredible haul, realizing how insanely valuable this pouch is. A utility item like this will easily serve him well for years to come. But wait, there's still one more mysterious prize waiting for him. Development ticket. Sayuk immediately suspects what this is for, since it sounds exactly like something he can use inside the monarch's castle. He decides to test it out alone later once things finally settle down. With the rewards fully sorted, he figures everything is taken care of, turning his focus toward his real goal, finally heading into the deepest part of the dungeon. The gate creaks open right on cue as he checks in with his team. Odal confirms he is ready without a single hesitation, while Guno lets out an eager cry right beside him. The three of them step forward together, ready to push ahead, but the very second they try moving, something feels completely wrong. Sayuk can't find the gate anywhere. It's like the thing vanished. The instant they tried walking toward it, right then, a strange, high-pitched squeal interrupts everything. A huge, sparkly pink pig comes bouncing into view, making excited squeals. Sayuk immediately recognizes it as Pig Mallet, one of the little creatures they protected during the earlier massacre. The pig keeps squealing insistently, and Sayuk quickly puts it together, asking Guno if these pig mallets are trying to lead them somewhere specific. But without warning, an entire herd of tiny pig mallets comes rushing past, and all of them launch straight toward the lake. Sayuk is totally confused about why these pigs are sprinting for the water. Pretty weird, right? The water, he yells to Odal and Guno, telling them to follow since the pig mallets clearly want to lead. The creatures launch into the air, one after another, soaring overhead in a wave before diving right into the lake. Below, Sayuk and his team leap right behind them, the ogre swinging his massive log for balance while Guno runs alongside, keeping pace with practiced ease. The three of them dive straight into the water together, Odal still gripping his weapon even underwater. The whole group sinks deeper as they follow the trail. The pig mallets cut right through the current. As they get deep down, Sayuk notices the pig mallets swimming in a tight spiral, clearly aiming for something below the surface. A bright light starts glowing from somewhere deep underwater, and Sayuk realizes with surprise that there is an actual gate hidden beneath the lake, without the pig mallets showing them. He knows for a fact they would have wandered around aimlessly forever, trying to find a way through on their own. Sayuk thanks them, and the little pigs squeal happily back at him, but the relief doesn't last long. A surge of energy rips through the water, and lightning spreads outward with a force that makes the entire situation feel much heavier all at once. Sayuk's mind flashes back to something very important, remembering that even his own constellation had specifically warned him to stay away from this exact place. If a being that powerful bothers issuing such a warning, it means whatever is waiting down here is genuinely dangerous, quite possibly more dangerous than anyone could have guessed. Sayuk steadies himself and swims forward alongside Odal, his expression hardening as he silently accepts that he might actually have to put his life on the line. System alerts right then, confirming that the challenger is officially entering the deepest part, and a blinding flash of light swallows everything around him. His face contorts in sudden pain. A ragged scream tears out as the strange change takes hold. It hits hard, then dead silence. He wakes up somewhere completely different. He finds himself lying on a massive patch of soft green grass. An open sky stretches overhead, nothing like that murky underwater lake from before. A sudden rustling sound nearby instantly snaps him to attention. He leaps up on instinct, ready to fight, only to realize it is just go. Relieved, he admits that the little goblin scared him half to death. He asks if he blacked out for a moment while passing through the gate. Looking around, he watches the grass expand far out in every direction. Under that open sky, something clicks. He asks aloud if this is the place. The legendary deepest floor everyone has been hyping up. Suddenly, the wind picks up. A soft, warm glow begins taking shape in the distance. He made it against all crazy odds. He actually made it. The system chime rings out, officially welcoming them to this zone. The Garden of Meditation, the very place everyone back home lost their minds over. Serene plains stretch under a bright blue sky, looking nothing like his expectations. Go lets out a soft, highly puzzled sound right beside him. The system is ready to explain exactly what they are dealing with. Suddenly, a cold, mechanical briefing voice begins reading out the details. The Garden of Meditation is currently facing an unprecedented crisis. In a world of drought and death, this land is the last paradise. Now endless waves of hungry invaders are flooding in to claim it. His absolute mission is to defend this final paradise, no matter what. To succeed, he has to restructure the entire layout of the garden. He must utilize its unique magical powers to repel the incoming forces. The second he hears this specific phrasing, something familiar clicks. This is literally a classic tower defense strategy game. But wait, a massive shift is already happening behind the scenes. The towering monarch castle is actively merging with the garden space. This grants him a perfect bird's-eye view of the entire field. High above, a mysterious hooded figure channels immense power straight through the cosmic void. Glowing star-like eyes transmit that tactical map directly to him. Down on the grassy field, a massive holographic layout map suddenly materializes. He immediately notices that this field shares a highly familiar design. It matches the exact structure of the monarch castle. Relief washes over him. He is not going in blind after all. Smirking confidently, he adjusts his glasses as a plan comes together. If this challenge is just another defense game, he has got this. In fact, he is overqualified. The system chimes in to agree. It instructs him to deploy defensive structures before the first wave arrives. He gets straight to work, activating Sage's eye to thoroughly scan the grid for options. He needs to see exactly what kind of defensive units he can summon. The interface highlights a unique option that does not consume a placement slot. A total steal, it is the World Tree Grass Wall. A barrier of magical vines drawing life directly from the legendary World Tree. Itself with actual roots from the tree placed directly inside, whenever monsters get close, it sends out mana to physically block their advance. Right. Beside it stands the Ari Tree of Charm and Tears, a gorgeous cherry blossom. Tree that scatters pollen the second anything threatening approaches. Any monster breathing that pollen gets charmed instantly, freezing its movement. For a full 5 minutes, and then there is the carnivorous plant Zyra, which eats absolutely anything wandering within a 1-meter radius of it. Without mercy, the system adds one more detail to drive the horror home, confirming that anything swallowed by Zyra suffers forever, trapped inside its roots before it finally dies. Hanul stands there impressed, not gonna lie, these are some seriously overpowered defenses, admitting that he could easily hold off an entire invasion using just these tools alone. Then a thought crosses his mind and Brome wonders out loud whether he could take some of these plants back with him to the monarch's castle permanently. The system shuts that idea down right away, confirming that the Guardian cannot freely damage the garden in any way. Brome sighs at the mischance but shrugs it off, deciding he has a solid enough grip on his available forces to get started. Right. As he is about to get started, classic right, a sudden notification interrupts him. The system flags the presence of an A-rank or higher monster somewhere nearby. Our guy scans the area, but does not see anything obvious at first until something catches his eye, a faint shimmer hiding low in the grass. He reaches down and grabs it before it can react. What he holds turns out to be a small purple ball with a single eye squirming uncomfortably in his grip. He stares at it with confusion, asking what exactly this thing even is. The system pulls up the full identification, revealing it as a beholder sage, a named monster whose stats cannot even be properly checked. It comes equipped with 2 skills: snooping at level 1 and baby petrification at level 1. The snooping skill lets the creature watch anyone without ever being spotted. Itself, on the flip side, it means no ordinary disguise can hide from its gaze either. Baby petrification limits the movement of a chosen target. The second the skill activates, though it conveniently does not work on anything above a certain rank. Hanul examines the squirming little blob with confusion, pointing out that the beholders he is familiar with are supposed to be massive creatures, nothing like this tiny thing currently struggling in his palm. He wonders if maybe it has not fully grown yet. Either way, he figures since it is still a named monster, it should still be useful for something, so he tells Guno to take care of it while he sorts out shipping it over to the monarch's castle. The beholder struggles weakly against Guno's grip the moment Hanul hands it over, but before anything else can happen, a brand new notification cuts through everything. An unknown constellation is suddenly demanding the beholder sage's freedom. Rome freezes and asks what on earth a constellation has to do with any of this. The warning repeats itself as the mysterious constellation calls itself the gardener of the mother goddess, yelling once more for Brome to release. The beholder, right away, he realizes the constellation behind this. No wonder Sook's constellation warned him. This dungeon is highly dangerous. The goddess's gardener yells again, who instantly spots his opening. He lifts the beholder. Does this little creature actually matter? The constellation confirms it does, who just smirks. Don't yell at someone doing you a favor, he warns. Threaten to destroy it. Yes, that leverage works beautifully. The system chimes. The gardener is offering a special mission. For Yurui, the deal is simple. Keep the beholder safe. Survive every wave and he owns it forever. He is absolutely thrilled. A simple, casual threat just became a real, high-stakes quest for him. Lifting the beast, he tells them they can finally talk. With a real contract on the table, honesty finally exists. Who releases his tight grip, and the gardener finally sighs with relief. Start now, they urge, but Dor Sigma has one question. Why would a powerful constellation even need a guardian? Simple, they hit their limit against the endless invaders. They used to defend themselves using the beholder sage. Eventually they hit their limit, and now Who understands everything completely. Now he knows exactly why the beast is so incredibly valuable to them. But wait, if a god hit their limit, are these monsters terrifying? Not at all. The gardener reveals the real issue. They just find repetitive defense games boring and can't be bothered anymore. Who is completely thrown off by that stupid excuse, but he chuckles anyway. He insists they just don't understand the real magic of defense games. Once you truly get the hang of it, they are incredibly fun. Suddenly his expression shifts entirely. A very devious smirk appears on his face. This is perfect. He is an absolute master in this exact field. Pushing his luck, he offers the god a brand new deal. If you sneak me extra rewards, I'll happily teach you the trade. Beepa Gardener scratches their stomach, looking completely bored. The gardener flatly says no, they do not need tricks. Annoyed at being brushed off, Who immediately calls upon his partner, Go. Go surges forward in blue flames, backing his threat. That sudden show of force changes the god's mind. The constellation nods fast. The deal is officially set. Now it's finally time for real action as the first wave begins. He lets the garden defenses shred incoming beasts mercilessly. Monsters are ripped apart. Once the dust settles, Who grins. Looking up, he smugly asks if they are paying close attention to him. He casually explains they can learn from his setup. Proper setup makes defending incredibly easy moving forward. Just watch. The system displays details for Wave 10, featuring 3 fierce Subaru's beasts. 10 golden bees, 1 queen, and 5 iron golems are arriving together. Who raises the beholder again, asking them how they would defend against this. The gardener only offers the same dismissive shrug. Their lazy attitude makes Tihan call them out directly, asking if they even have any real plan to take this seriously. He pushes further, wondering out loud if the real issue is that they simply do not know how to handle defense. Games, that sharp jab lands exactly where it is supposed to because the constellation gets annoyed and insists they can handle this easily if they actually try. Fed up, the gardener finally submits a complete layout plan this time. Tihan notes out loud that they are finally motivated to do this properly. Looking over the proposed defense, though, he immediately spots a massive problem. He points out that cramming 20 zeros right at the entrance all at once is questionable and asks if they are being serious. The gardener confirms that is exactly the plan. Tihan flatly declares that this tactic is completely hopeless as written. He lays out the fix right away, explaining that the charm tree must be placed alongside the Zira's because its pollen will stop incoming enemies and cover for the Zira's lack of speed, but he does not stop there, pointing out that the golden bee queen is completely immune to charm. And the iron golems are totally immune to magic, meaning the world trees. Grass wall will not stop them either. That leaves a huge gap, so Tihan poses the real question, asking what they should use to tie down those two specific threats so Zyra can finish the job properly. The constellation tilts its head with curiosity, clearly invested now. Tihan holds up the answer with a confident smile, a tiny pea-shaped projectile. The gardener looks puzzled, asking what this is supposed to be. Tihan explains that the bullets From these peas carry a sticky quality, and that is exactly what they will use. The constellation pushes back, pointing out that the stickiness does not seem all that's strong to begin with. Tihan concedes the point, admitting that one or two pea bullets probably would not matter much on their own, but then he raises the real question: what happens if hundreds or even thousands of these things end up sticking to the same target all at once? With a confident smirk, he tells the constellation to watch closely and see exactly how these pea bullets can stop even the toughest monsters dead in their tracks. The wave hits and the plan plays out exactly as promised. The Golden Bee Queen and the Iron Golems both get completely buried under a non-stop storm of sticky pea bullets, pinned in place by sheer volume, even though neither was supposed to be stoppable by normal means. Zyra and the rest of the garden's defenses tear through the trapped horde without resistance. Tihan watches with satisfaction, calling out to the constellation and asking if they understood what just happened, pointing out that even something seemingly small can pull off something powerful when it is actually used right. He leans back satisfied, declaring that this right here is the true thrill in defense games. The constellation watches the whole spectacle with obvious interest. Hooked despite itself, Tihan asks if they should move on to the next wave already, and the system answers right on cue, pulling up the details for the 25th wave. This time, the breakdown shows one giant draken, pack of 5 wolves and 6 ghouls rounding out the numbers. Tihan points out he notices this wave is built differently, throwing the strategic question right back at the constellation to see how they would actually choose to handle it. After taking a moment to think, the gardener finally offers up their own design, putting forward an actual layout plan instead of brushing it off. Our main character reviews the layout and immediately spots the brilliant design hidden inside, pointing out that the structures are arranged specifically to funnel every single monster straight down the middle of the field. They will freeze their targets with charms and pea bullets before wiping them out. The constellation nods, happy that he recognized their strategic trap. He fully approves of the idea, giving them a simple nod. From there, things begin to accelerate as the constellation steps up. They follow his earlier advice to secure one entire side of the corridor, precisely as he instructed, earning an enthusiastic thumbs up from Hanul. The defense holds perfectly, and victory alerts begin to flood the screen, one after another, confirming they survived the onslaught of monsters. First, they clear Wave 25, then breeze past 57 and Wave 62, leaving our main character genuinely surprised by the rapid pace. He wonders what grand defense the gardener has lined up next. The spirit responds by drafting a complete tactical layout entirely on their own, showing how much effort they are finally putting into the challenge. He examines the new strategy and immediately gives his total approval, telling them to deploy the new defense setup exactly as they drew it. Enemy waves keep crashing in, and their rewards continue to grow. But as they fight, a massive shift occurs deep within the constellation's mind, and our guy picks up on the change instantly. His eyes widen when the system suddenly announces a major quest change. The constellation suddenly offers to act as his official protector. He watches the system prompt appear with a silent look of surprise, as a new notification confirms the evolution of their active quest. The objective shifts from basic defensive duty to mentoring. A confident grin slowly creeps onto Hanul's face after seeing this. This development is absolutely perfect, giving him the chance to show his student every advanced strategy in his massive playbook. They are going to master the art of the perfect tower defense together. 12 hours fly by as they focus on the coaching trials. Monsters continue to fall under our guy's strict tactical guidance. The wave count rises steadily through the 50s and beyond. By the 60s, he even throws in some random cooking advice, joking that they should roast those bird monsters instead of fighting them. But his strategic guidance gets incredibly precise when things get serious, especially when he notes how they completely wasted a key ability. He explains the correct timing for the charm skills on earlier targets, teaching them exactly how to adjust before they finally hit Wave 80. He admits their defensive setup is actually becoming quite impressive now. The waves climb past 88, and the system announces a massive milestone. After successfully defending against the 99th wave, our main guy finally lets himself relax, leaning back with a satisfied sigh. Someone nearby points out just how far the constellation has come, impressed at how well things are going now compared to their rough start. The constellation reacts with a little shrug and a quiet, proud smile, clearly pleased with their progress. Right then, Guno lets out an excited squeal, pointing straight toward the horizon where the next monster wave is already gathering. Odolph chimes in, speaking directly to Hanul and noting that even he and Guno can see how much the constellation has actually improved over all this intense training. Hanul totally agrees, starting to say he thinks the constellation could probably handle the next wave entirely on their own at this point, but he suddenly cuts himself off mid-sentence. The system interrupts everything, announcing that the 100th monster wave is arriving soon. Tension spikes. Instantly, the beholder reacts with visible fear, and even Guno's expression shifts into something way more serious than before. A massive shadow begins emerging through the storm, completely dwarfing everything they have faced up to this point. The system finally reveals the breakdown for Wave 100, showing a behemoth times 1. The sheer size of this thing is enough to make the constellation panic, scrambling to throw together a brand new layout on the fly in a desperate bid to survive. But get this, Hanul stays completely calm through it all, telling the constellation it is okay, reassuring them that they have grown enough over all this training and that their quick adaptation was amazing. Hearing this, the constellation stops mid-motion and looks over at Hanul, admitting that this particular monster looks way too tough to handle with just the garden's power alone. Because of that, they have a different plan in mind, telling Hanul they are going to show him exactly how to take down a monster like this through direct combat instead. Hanul, Odolph, and Guno drop straight out of the sky together, falling toward the massive horned beast below, its glowing red eyes locked onto them. The constellation's voice rings out clearly, calling this Hanul's final lesson and telling him to watch closely as they spot the perfect opening. The behemoth's movement freezes for a brief moment, and they immediately seize the chance, calling for everyone to charge together and finish the beast off in one decisive strike. But right as they attack, the behemoth's eye flares bright red, letting out a roar that shakes the entire battlefield. Hanul barely has time to react before small creatures start bursting out from the behemoth's thick fur, dozens of them at once. His confusion turns to alarm as he demands to know what they are. The system pulls up their profile right away, identifying them as blood fleas with unsettling agility and a level 1 blood-sucking skill. Hanul can hardly process this fast enough, realizing actual monsters are erupting straight from inside the beast's own fur. Caught off guard, Hanul realizes with rising panic that he cannot dodge properly anymore. He barely manages a curse before the swarm crashes directly into them. Even Odolph gets swept. He throws himself directly into the line of danger to shield his monarch. He gets crushed by the impact and goes screams a warning as his friend falls. But as the dust clears, Hanul lets out a heavy sigh of relief. It was too close. Odolph rushes over to check on him. He asks if the King of Kings is doing all right now. Hanul nods and thanks his ally for the quick save, but then he laughs it off, saying these little bugs are not a big deal. Right as those words leave his mouth, he completely freezes up in terror. The swarm gathers again, charging forward in even greater numbers. Hanul instantly takes those words back. They are incredibly dangerous. The battlefield quickly turns into a desperate, close-range fight for survival. Blood splatters everywhere as Odolph roars and tears right through the incoming swarm. Both warriors struggle with everything they have to keep from getting overwhelmed. Even in this madness, Hanul can tell they are in trouble. These blood fleas are weak alone, but there are just too many. A team of 3 simply cannot hold out against this wave. Hanul frantically searches for some other way out before they all get slaughtered. He desperately wonders if they have any other options left, and then, look at this timing. A system alert suddenly chimes in. The monarch's castle is finally sending his money. They just deposited the 4,000 gold that was delayed from before. This was his payment for selling Zen Karuk's powerful soul stone. Hanul's eyes widen as he remembers he has this massive pile of cash. This changes everything. He can make a move right now. Without delay, he triggers his special feature to summon some heavy-duty support. It is time to bring Zen Karuk back into the fight. Magic floods the area. A blinding light fills the room as the priest's power crackles to life. Hanul confidently boasts that he will wipe out this entire swarm in one shot. The system officially confirms the summon of the Lizardman High Priest, Zen Karuk. Zen Karuk looks incredibly confused, asking where he has been dragged to this time. Hanul wastes no time and yells at the priest to hurry up. He tells him to quickly unleash that one devastating skill they both know. Zen Karuk asks which move he is even talking about. Hanul cuts to the chase, use that massive water spray spell from earlier. The priest gasps in surprise before gathering a surge of energy in his hands. Raw elemental energy begins to swell between his claws as he channels his magic. The system confirms the use of his signature move, Tears of the Ancient God. A massive wave of water erupts, flooding the entire battlefield in an instant. The heavy torrent washes over the flea swarm, crushing them with ease. Hanul watches the water rip through the bugs with pure satisfaction. He notes that the attack seems weaker than their first encounter. However, it is still more than enough to wash away these annoying pests. Then Hanul gives the final command to finish them all off. Zen Karuk leaps forward as the water crashes down like a heavy hammer. Hanul gives his summon a big thumbs up of approval. Zen Karuk proudly declares that the fight was an absolute joke. Hanul smiles, but his focus is already shifting to the next big threat. With everything else gone, only one option remains. He stares at the behemoth as it opens. Its massive mouth and unleashes a roar that literally rattles the entire area. This ugly monster hates being ignored. Hanul immediately calls out to Odal. Commanding him to launch Guno straight at the face of the giant beast, Odal goes. Completely stiff, Guno rolls his eyes, seriously questioning the logic of this crazy plan. Hanul looks at his companions and snaps, there is absolutely no time to explain, so just move. Right then, the behemoth charges with a ground-shaking stomp. Guno activates his rank, a skill, Raven Wings. The creature rocket launches forward, turning into a streak of blazing blue light cutting straight toward the monster. Right on cue, Hanul orders Zen Karuk to shield Guno in his water spray, prompting Zen to activate Tears of the Ancient God. Its barrier form, a shell of heavy, pressurized water, wraps entirely around Guno. Midair, the massive beast cannot even register the incoming threat before Guno slams into it, unleashing a massive shockwave that rips across the battlefield. The behemoth shrieks in pain, shaking the earth beneath the feet of everyone, and just like that, the system chimes in, the trial of the garden is officially cleared, and the entire garden of deep water has been conquered. Guno happily chirps back, making it hilarious how much he loved being thrown like a weapon. But then, an object falls from above. A gigantic, glowing golden sword materializes from thin air and slams right into the dirt. Hanul immediately wonders what the hell this giant blade even is. The system answers immediately, announcing a mystery rank item is being rewarded to them for completely clearing out this dangerous dungeon. Hanul reaches out and grips the hilt. The system displays its full stats and he carefully reads the details for the Emperor Vestige, a Z rank weapon classified as a specialized hand blade. The description explains that the Emperor is an entity that embraces everything, so this legendary sword bearing the name of the ruler can contain absolutely whatever the user wants. Hanul immediately checks his inventory for the unique Vestige copy skill. Written in the description, the interface explains this powerful ability works by slotting a summoning orb into the blade groove to copy the highest parameters and active skills of the target monster. With the right core equipped, he can transform this weapon to perfectly counter any dangerous scenario. Suddenly, a bizarre spatial distortion ripples through the air as the system reveals that the Gardener of the Earth Goddess is offering a customized choice of bonus rewards for completely crushing the trial. Hanul turns toward the sound, genuinely caught off guard. He definitely did not expect the legendary constellation to offer bonus gifts on top of their original agreement. But he quickly begins scheming about what would be most useful right now. Deciding to push his luck, he boldly pitches a clever trade proposal. If the gardener sneaks him an extra hidden reward on top of everything, he will teach the deity every single gaming trick and cheese strategy for defense maps and strategic planning in their future trials. The celestial being agrees, promising a uniquely powerful hidden item. And Hanul immediately pushes his advantage to claim partial authority. He knows this rare power is the ultimate key to breaking the entire system. A legendary power granted through a contract with a constellation. Anyone who secures one gets insane stat boosts and completely broken abilities to maximize their overall combat strength. Hanul immediately asks for one, but the gardener shuts him down with a massive flat-out no. Hanul assumes he simply does not want to sign with him, but the gardener explains that Hanul's current condition makes it impossible to form a full contract with the powerful constellation. Instead, the gardener offers him two distinct paths. He can either choose a totally different reward or accept a sponsorship contract. When Hanul asks what a sponsorship contract is, the gardener explains it grants a weaker version of a constellation's authority. Hanul asks if he can use this power without any special restrictions, and the gardener confirms that he can. Hanul carefully considers the offer, realizing a weakened authority seems way more valuable than regular items because it still puts him on the path to true greatness. He is Sargon, humanity's very first emperor. If the being before him really is Sargon, then his position among the constellations must be extraordinarily high. Hanul accepts the sponsorship contract. The gardener praises his choice as brilliant light engulfs Hanul. As the contract is finalized, the authority floods his body, granting him brand new abilities. Once the light fades, Hanul checks his status and is genuinely surprised because it granted him everything except a bigger joystick. Still, this power is far stronger than expected, proving he made the right decision. With the sponsorship contract officially finalized, the system instantly confirms another major reward: the ownership of the Beholder Sage is transferred to Hanul. The gardener promises to take care of the small purple sphere for now before sending it away. Moments later, the system announces that the Garden of Meditation is fully cleared. Hanul opens up his status window and gets another wave of notifications that bring him way more satisfaction than a standing ovation. 4. Conditions for unlocking the hidden skill, conversation with the monarch, are now completely checked off. He survived a monster wave, stayed alive for more than 50 hours, spoken with a constellation, and earned a deity's solid acknowledgement. With those requirements met, the final condition is finally revealed. He must craft an S-rank or higher item using beast materials. Hanul immediately thinks of the massive pile of lizard man materials stashed inside his dimensional pouch. Outside the dungeon, the gate suddenly erupts with violent energy. Red light flares across its surface while powerful waves of mana shake the area, triggering massive emergency alarms. The monitoring systems scream, and reports reach Suhayuk immediately. He thinks there is an active dungeon break, quickly ordering the support teams to prepare while summoning his top vanguard, including Suk, Suhayuk, and Suko. What started as a simple search for a missing rookie hunter instantly turns into a massive emergency response. A moment later, red lightning crackles across the plaza. As the energy clears, Hanul steps out of the gate, looking like a perfect copy of Jinwoo. Seeing this, the crowd is relieved as word quickly spreads that Hunter Kim Hanul has returned alive. Before anyone can react, the dungeon gate behind him begins cracking, shining with blue light. It spreads across the surface until the entire gate collapses into glowing particles and vanishes completely. The Garden of Meditation has been fully cleared. The gathered hunters can barely believe what they are witnessing. Some even wonder if this broke washout really cleared an S-rank dungeon by himself, while others stand frozen in pure shock. Hanul is just as confused by the crowd waiting outside. Instead of just a few officials, he finds all three of the nation's major guild masters standing there. A Hunter Association manager named Kim Jong-soo approaches him first and thanks him for clearing the dungeon. He explains that when the meditation suddenly went red, the association believed a dungeon break was about to happen, so he immediately requested backup from every major guild. They never expected such a massive turnout, but no one wanted to risk ignoring a potential S-rank disaster. Jong-soo privately admits that if it was just a normal dungeon break, the association's own forces would have been enough. Just then, someone spots the blood stone hanging from Hanul's side. One of the guild masters immediately realizes that the only way Hanul could have a bloodstone is by personally defeating the boss monster hidden in the deepest part of the dungeon. It leaves everyone stunned by what the rookie hunter has accomplished. A bald hunter named Dongpao from the Aegis Guild steps up and immediately invites Hanul to join them. Hanul politely refuses, and the rejection hits Dongpao right where it hurts. Bro cannot believe his recruitment offer was shoved right back in his face. Watching nearby, Sayuk remarks that every hunter has the right to choose their own guild, and who they share their information with. Manhwa reluctantly concludes that Guild Pongbok must have secured Hanul before anyone else had a chance. Meanwhile, the leader of the Samurai Guild quietly observes the entire exchange. Instead of making a direct recruitment offer, she approaches Hanul alone. Noticing he has something on his mind, she hands him her business card and introduces herself as Guild Master Samurai. She tells him to contact her whenever he is ready, confidently adding that she can provide exactly what he is looking for. Her words immediately catch Hanul's interest. The next day, he checks his phone and reads her message. Again, she tells him she knows he needs a craftsman capable of processing bloodstones. All he has to do is meet at the sent address on Wednesday at noon. Wednesday, Hanul follows the directions and soon reaches the meeting place. The moment he sees the sign, his brain completely freezes. The meeting is at Café Artorium, a famous exclusive spot that only the country's top hunters can enter. He has only heard rumors about it until now. As soon as he enters, he quietly looks around. Every single customer is a famous hunter. Sitting among people he has only heard of makes him feel his status is definitely rising. This rookie, who was treated like an extra days ago, thinks his time has finally come. Just then, a mocking voice calls out to him, and Hanul turns to find a man staring him down with a smirk. Suddenly, a stranger introduces himself as Hong Hansal from the Bonebreaker Guild. He asks if Hanul cleared the Garden of Meditation, sparking immediate interest. The name immediately catches his attention because Bonebreaker is completely infamous. They are a dirty fixer guild. They do anything for the right price. They are known for cruelty, and Hanul immediately decides to avoid them. A massive red flag, yet this annoying guy completely ignores the hint. He keeps talking, wondering if the wild rumors about Hanul are actually true. Hanul calmly asks what he means, and Hansal claims everyone believes it. He claims Hanul is already secretly signed with the Pongbok Guild, only pretending to be an independent rookie to build hype before officially joining them. He even asks how much Pongbok paid him, but Hanul remains completely unfazed. He thinks he cornered him. Hansal pushes harder, but Hanul remains silent. He simply replies that people can believe whatever they want, since rumors remain rumors. Hansal points out that the entire cafe is watching their little confrontation. He warns that staying quiet only looks suspicious, but Hanul just shrugs. He shrugged. He simply does not care what they think. This response catches Hansal completely off guard, since he expected a reaction. Instead, absolutely nothing. Hansal desperately tries to keep up the pressure. But before he can speak, a female voice suddenly interrupts the conversation. Tsunari steps inside, looking absolutely stunning, and the cafe's vibe instantly shifts. Even veteran hunters, who face S-rank monsters daily, suddenly sit up straight. All of Hansal's smug confidence completely vanishes the moment he spots her. Tsunari notices the tense air and casually asks if something is wrong. Hansal hurriedly greets her, desperate to remind her that they have met. She politely admits she only remembers people who are actually important. Talk about emotional damage. Hansal takes the hit but still tries again. He tries introducing himself as a Bonebreaker member, but she ignores him. She completely ignores him. She walks right past like he is invisible. Tsunari sits across from Hanul instead and apologizes for the annoying disruption. She notes the place is usually peaceful until trash like Hansal shows up. He tries to defend himself, but she dismisses him without a glance. She tells him he is not even worth her attention, then glances up. She asks Hansal why he is still standing there like an idiot. Realizing he is completely lost, Hansal quietly slinks out of the cafe. Hanul just watched a top-tier guild leader crush someone in real time. Tsunari then turns back to business, asking if they can discuss her proposal. He agrees, and the gorgeous leader explains that she knows about Pongbok. She knows they approached him and wants him to consider her guild instead. She plans to offer him something far better than a standard contract. She calls it a simple favor, but hints at its massive value. It far exceeds anything any other guild can possibly match right now. Hanul thinks about her guild, one of the nation's top 3 powerhouses. First, because of Tsunari herself, whose lethal combat skill is unmatched. Second, because of the top-tier gear her elite hunters use in battle. By every single guild member, their top-tier gear easily outclasses what rival guilds can produce. The secret behind that massive edge is an incredible craftsman working secretly with the guild, just like anyone else. Hanul Imagine this legendary master hiding out somewhere deep in the mountains, completely isolated from civilization. Instead, Sinyuri brings him straight to Myeongdong, an ordinary neighborhood in Seoul. Hanul is completely caught off guard. Sinyuri laughs. When she sees his face, she explains that everyone expects some hidden mountain sanctuary, which is exactly the reason why almost nobody ever guesses the actual location. As they keep walking, Sinyuri briefly triggers an illusion skill. Pink light wraps around her, changing her look into a cute bunny-themed outfit before fading away just as fast. She explains that she uses this trick so nobody can tail her to the forge. Hanul immediately sees the genius in the plan. High-level hunter like Sinyuri can easily trick anyone with her illusions, unless they stalk her target directly. Finding the legendary blacksmith alone is impossible. Meanwhile, over at Café Artorium, Han Salal is absolutely fuming. Humiliated by his defeat, he swears bitter revenge against Hanul and Myeongdong. Sinyuri leads the young man to an old building with shutters pulled down. Hanul gets ready to draw his bamboo stick, but she knocks on the door, telling him not today. Inside, the old blacksmith instantly snaps at her for being late. She casually apologizes and explains that she brought a guest along, but the old man just grumbles that he nearly closed up and went looking for her himself. Watching them interact, Hanul quickly realizes this rugged old craftsman must be the guild's legendary blacksmith. Skipping the small talk, he gets straight to business, asking about the bloodstone. The old man introduces himself as Sanchin, the owner of the works, and demands that Hanul hand it over. The moment the bloodstone actually touches his hand, his expression completely shifts. He slowly rotates it under the lamp, inspecting every single angle before quietly calling it a masterpiece. Even Sinyuri looks totally stunned by his reaction. Sanchin explains there is not a single mark on the stone, admitting it is the first flawless bloodstone he has ever held in his whole career. After one final check, he readily accepts the job. Sanchin then places a glowing parchment contract right in front of Hanul, telling him to sign. Curious, our hero asks what kind of deal this is. The blacksmith explains it is a monobound contract. Once signed, both parties are magically forced to keep their word, and anyone who breaks the deal faces a curse based on its rank. Hanul tries reading through the terms, but the dense legal jargon makes absolutely zero sense to him. His brain completely freezes up, so he asks Sanchin to put it in plain terms. The old-timer casually explains that if he fails the job, he will literally burn to ash. Our hero almost gets a mini heart attack hearing that, but the blacksmith remains perfectly relaxed. He adds that the penalty only triggers if he screws up refining the bloodstone or tries to run off with it. Hanul lets out a nervous laugh, claiming he would have trusted Sanchin anyway. Sonari personally introduced him, but the old blacksmith simply shakes his head. He explains it has nothing to do with trust. A bloodstone of this caliber deserves complete dedication, and he is willing to risk his own life to forge it properly. After completing the paperwork, Hanul and Sonari leave the workshop together. She offers him a ride, but he politely refuses, saying he still has some things to do. She smiles and jokes that the country's newest famous rookie must be incredibly busy. Just before she drives away, Hanul stops her to ask about the people living around the workshop, wondering what they mean to her. Sonari immediately turns serious, demanding to know why he asks. Hanul explains that everyone in the neighborhood greeted her warmly, almost like family. If they are truly precious to her, she needs to know something. Meanwhile, back at the workshop, Sanchin continues admiring the crimson bloodstone. Even after decades as a master blacksmith, he cannot hide his excitement, admitting that working on something this flawless requires absolute focus. But before he can begin, strangers suddenly burst inside, and the old man demands to know who they are. Their leader claims they belong to the guild Hanul joined, saying they have come to retrieve the bloodstone left behind by mistake. The story is ridiculous, and Sanchin immediately sees through the lie. He calmly insists he has never seen any bloodstone, claiming this place is just an ordinary ironworks. Unfortunately, one of the thugs spots the flaw in his story, asking how an ordinary blacksmith would even know what a bloodstone is. Sanchin realizes he slipped up. The leader reveals they watched Hanul enter the workshop with a woman and demands the stone right now. Sanchin refuses without hesitation. He tells them that if they truly represent Hanul, they can bring the client themselves. That answer only annoys the arrogant blonde leader, who orders his men to beat the old man until he talks as the gang surrounds Sanchin. Passerby notices the commotion and tries to intervene, but one of the thugs grabs him and throws him aside, just as the attackers prepare to rush forward. One of them suddenly freezes. Panic spreads across his face. He desperately tells his boss that he cannot move his body at all. Not even an inch. The leader dismisses this as nonsense and slams fist into his face, but the guy stays completely stiff, just like a frozen statue. Just then Hanul arrives, praising his sage skill for freezing them solid. Walking home, Hanul suddenly notices footsteps following him through the quiet streets. Right then, Sage sends him a notification, confirming his suspicion. The person stalking him is none other than Hong Han-sol, the ruthless hunter from earlier that day. Hanul is caught off guard because Hong Han-sol was not wearing any disguise before. For a moment, he wonders if Sage somehow made a mistake, but another notification quickly appears. The Farsight skill activates, explaining that it can detect any stealth skill regardless of the user's rank. Hong Han-sol is definitely hiding in stealth. He quietly thanks Sage for the warning, telling the guide to keep watching. If Hansol makes even the slightest suspicious move, Sage must notify him immediately. He cannot help but wonder why Hansol would go so far to shadow him. But his cover is blown. Realizing this, the stalker decides to step out. Hansol drops his stealth and steps into the open before things turn ugly. Hansol gives him just one chance to leave, but Hansol only laughs aloud, mocking the ridiculous idea that a mere B-rank rookie could threaten him. Calling Hansol arrogant, he summons his contracted barefoot intel thief. He orders the spirit to investigate Hansel's equipment and hidden abilities. How did Hansel detect him? He was completely hidden and undetectable. He wonders if the rookie possesses some high-tier detection constellation. At the same time, his greed for that bloodstone keeps growing. Argue with this idiot. No, Hansel decides he is done talking. Hansel calmly states there is nothing left to discuss. If Hansel refuses to leave, they will settle this the hard way. He hurls a smoke bomb down. Thick, heavy smoke instantly blankets the area, swallowing the entire battlefield. As the smoke clears, Kuruk steps forward. The moment Hansel sees a goblin appear, he laughs even harder, openly mocking Hansel for relying on what he calls a trash tier monster. He thinks he is fighting an NPC, but this is the absolute biggest mistake of his career. Hansel's spirit confidently approaches Kuruk, mocking the goblin's gear. It boasts that after winning, it will strip his armor and sword, looting everything valuable. Kuruk does not answer, vanishing in a blink. He flashes behind the spirit with incredible blinding speed. Before it can even react, Kuruk's blade slices clean across its body. The spirit barely manages to shriek before another brutal slash lands. This time, it desperately leaps backward, but Kuruk never gives it room to breathe. He charges forward again, his small body becoming a complete blur as he unleashes strike after strike, cutting off every single attempt to escape. Suddenly, critical warning messages begin flashing right before Hansel's spirit, repeatedly ordering it to stop fighting and retreat immediately. Hansel stares at the notifications in complete confusion, unable to comprehend what is happening. He desperately tries to flee, wondering how a mere goblin can be this fast, but Kuruk relentlessly chases him down. Heavy slashes tear through the spirit until it is completely helpless. Hansel's men can only watch in utter disbelief. They plan to ignore the goblin, but the trash tier beast just put their premium summon on life support. Looking at his near-dead state, Hansel orders Kuruk to stop. Right then, another notification appears, revealing the barefoot intel thief has terminated its contract with Hansel. The broken contract triggers a massive backlash through Hansel's body, forcing him to cough up blood as he realizes how badly he underestimated the rookie. Hansel praises Kuruk for his work. Before dismissing him, Hansel apologizes over and over, admitting he was wrong, promising to do absolutely anything if Hansel spares his life. Hansel thinks for. He hesitates. He has no interest in killing someone who cannot fight back. After a grueling fight, Hanul collapses in relief. He survived. Just when you think he is safe, that relief completely vanishes. A massive wave of crimson energy suddenly explodes. Sinari has arrived. The Alpha Witch looks colder than usual. Her presence is suffocating. It is so intense, Hanul literally forgets how to breathe. She apologizes for lowering her guard and allowing them to be followed. If things went differently, he would have been in serious danger. Hearing this, Hanul feels incredibly guilty that it happened because of him. Sonari gently tells him not to worry, it is the criminal's fault. After a brief silence, he asks what she plans for their captors. Sanchin calmly suggests they should hand them over to the Hunter Association. But Sonari disagrees, handing them over is far too lenient. She wants to execute them herself. Sanchin quickly tries to stop her. He begs her not to go that far, still she refuses mercy. Hanul quietly insists he does not want her carrying that heavy burden. Sonari stares at him in silence, letting out a soft sigh. She agrees to spare them, but first they need a lesson. Crimson mana erupts from her body, crackling with pure, terrifying power. Suffocating killing intent floods the street. Sanchin knows not to stop her. The argument escalates. Sanchin and Sonari start a mini brawl. Watching this, Hanul admits he still cannot figure her out. One moment she is incredibly sweet, the next, a terrifying demon. Soon, Sanchin tells Hanul to pick up his bloodstone tomorrow evening. Hanul notices how exhausted the blacksmith looks. He suggests resting first. Sanchin simply shakes his head. A blacksmith must never stop. He explains that moments like these require absolute, unbroken focus. Hanul gladly leaves the commission in Sanchin's highly capable hands. Later, Sonari warmly thanks Hanul once again for everything he did. Our boy modestly insists it was nothing, but she refuses that. Without him, she would have lost someone incredibly precious to her. She promises to repay the favor, offering to buy him cakes anytime. Hanul happily agrees, and she heads back to her car. As she drives away, she reminds him she is waiting. That night, Hanul finally makes it home. He expects real rest. But of course, the system immediately shatters his peaceful dreams. Notification appears. The 702nd wave starts in 2 hours. Hanul stares in disbelief. He lets out a heavy, tired sigh. He grabs some energy drinks, preparing for another brutal, sleepless night. He nervously wonders what kind of nightmare this wave will unleash. The operation begins. Sage announces a new plan called Stop the Monster. The strategy is simple. Use your own monsters against the enemy. Hanul quickly checks his lineup to defend the monarch's castle. He is significantly stronger now compared to the previous wave. His army features goblin slaves, lizard men, an ogre berserker, and Zen Kurok. Looking over his formidable forces, Hanul cannot help but feel satisfied. While managing troops, he opens the construction menu and spots a strange notification. He is the sole player. That means some crazy privileges are coming. A rare merchant pops up, appearing exclusively inside his own royal castle. The trader quickly unpacks his gear, offering several incredibly useful items. His stock includes monster energy bars, explosive molotovs, and chilling blizzard horns. There is focus incense, too. Hanul carefully inspects each unique item. He stops at the monster energy bars, reading their strange description. Bars fully heal and restore mana for any beasts stationed inside. Hanul instantly realizes this is the absolute best purchase he can make. Keeping his forces alive means giving them a second shot at survival. He immediately buys all 25 bars, but hesitates to spend more. He still has absolutely no idea what kind of enemies he will face. Sage steps in to offer the wave details, leaving Hanul genuinely shocked. He grumbles that Sage never shared this useful feature during previous rounds. As the status screen opens, the details of the incoming wave appear. Wave 7002 has a 7-star boss and 1199. 2-star monsters. Hanul silently stares at the screen for several long seconds. He rubs his eyes, reading the prompt again to ensure he is not hallucinating. A single god-tier boss leading 1,200 enemies is completely insane. Even he has to admit this massive army is just flat-out ridiculous. How is anyone supposed to survive this? Before he can panic, Sage chimes in. Sage suggests using the gacha system, reminding him how players solve impossible walls. When facing an impossible wall, gambling is the only answer. He checks his inventory. He finds a premium gacha ticket and a special grade development pass. Without wasting a second, he pulls the lever on the premium gacha. The world instantly warps under a blood-red sky. A massive, armored warrior slowly steps out of the dark, standing beneath the crimson clouds. Before its identity is revealed, the scene cuts as the 7,000. And second wave begins. A giant crowned skeleton leads the charge. its glowing red eyes burning with malice. Sage identifies the creature as the Wave 7-star hero boss. The instant this monster steps onto the battlefield, it shrugs off the holy debuff, immediately shutting down the spell and restoring the undead's defenses. Hanul loses a few brain cells over this cheap trick but adapts quickly, mapping out a brand new strategy. Instead of letting all 1,200 monsters rush his defenses together, Hanul divides the monarch's castle into 4 separate barracks linked by narrow pathways. This choke point forces the undead to split up, keeping them from overwhelming his defenses with raw numbers. Soon, the first wave crashes into the first barracks, funneled right through his brutal assault room. Their formation is completely shattered before the real fighting even starts. The enemy confidently throws themselves forward, sending their strongest skeletons first. His defenders crash into the undead head-on, smashing skeletal knights and archers to pieces before they can gain any momentum. Notifications flood the screen as wave after wave of skeletons crumble to dust. Within moments, the remaining enemy count drops to around 1,100. Over at the second barracks, things are just as brutal. The defenders refuse to give up even an inch, holding the tight doorway and slicing down every skeleton. Suddenly, the ancient god's tears activate. A massive pink light explodes. Pink energy surges across the battlefield, shredding through the undead ranks. Monsters crumble into dust one after another, until the remaining count drops to 1,021. Meanwhile, at the third barrack, the battle rages. A defender unleashes the Raven's wingbeat skill. The blade rips through the air, releasing a deadly slash that cuts clean, slicing a straight path right through their ranks. Only 937 left, onward to the fourth barrack. At the fourth barrack, another massive area attack explodes now. Just then, Sage announces the lizard men activated their swarm bonus. Fighting together makes them way stronger, shredding dozens of skeletons in seconds. Momentum stays squarely on Hanul's side as the undead army keeps collapsing. Another 30 skeleton soldiers, 6 knights, and 20 archers are put down, bringing the total count down to 881. Watching those numbers plunge, Hanul finally takes a quick breath. His salt room trap is working beautifully, making the monsters easy to handle. For a second, it really looks like his plan is going perfectly. Then the entire sky suddenly bursts with a blood-red light. The 7-star boss finally appears, Illuminati's, the crowned Lich King. Instantly, he begins casting his signature spell, Undead Resurrection. Hanul can only sigh at this, because it's the absolute worst ability. A massive red orb forms in Illuminati's hand, raining light everywhere. The spell finishes, and every single skeleton that Hanul's troops just slaughtered. Everyone stands right back up like nothing ever happened. The monster count instantly rockets from 881 to 1,200, and Hanul's brain completely short-circuits in shock. His monsters confirm the worst. Every enemy is fully back to life. But unlike the undead, Hanul's forces are still wounded and totally exhausted. Even so, they have no choice but to charge in all over again. Thankfully, Hanul prepared a backup plan for a moment like this. He immediately buys 23 monster energy bars from the item peddler. Green energy floods his troops, completely restoring both their health and mana. The tired fighters are instantly back at full power, ready to go. Hanul smiles, realizing this battle has officially turned into a resource war. Now it's just a matter of who runs out of fuel first. Round 2 begins. Fire, lightning, and sharp steel collide once again. Skeletons drop like flies. 40 soldiers, 20 archers, and 10 knights vanish. Then another 20 soldiers are crushed, dropping the count to 981. Just as hope returns, Illuminati's calmly raises his skeletal hand. He casts Undead Resurrection for the second time, and it's bad news. Every fallen skeleton rises again, resetting the count back to 1,200. This endless loop repeats. Hanul's army crushes 50 soldiers and 40 archers, dropping the count to 1,110, but Illuminati's just resurrects them. His beasts fight on, slaying 20 knights, 28 archers, and 37 soldiers. And another 21 knights, pushing the enemy numbers down to 850, but it is over instantly. Illuminatus casts his spell again, restoring every fallen undead. No hesitation, no matter how many skeletons crumble, the battlefield always resets. Just like that, the story briefly shifts to reality. Han sits completely alone at his desk in the dark. Night, his monitors flash with endless wave alerts. It is 401. AM, it shows just how long this battle has dragged on, while everyone else is sleeping peacefully. Our guy is still working the world's worst night shift. The system literally treats him like an unpaid intern. Back inside the monarch's castle, the endless battle rages. Han watches another resurrection trigger. His monsters keep clashing against the Crimson Horde. Even Sage sounds worried. The pressure is building fast. Our guy calmly reassures them everything is under control. He prepares to restore his army once again with some monster energy bars. His troops recover and charge straight back into battle, but Illuminatus is starting to show cracks. Undead resurrection consumes massive amounts of mana, and the more he revives his army, the closer he gets to emptying his own reserves. The Lich King finally notices something is wrong. He angrily demands why he cannot take the castle despite reviving them endlessly. Ultimate skill issue right there. A massive wave of crimson energy explodes around him. He abandons the endless resurrection play and prepares to fight personally. The warning appears instantly. Illuminatus begins marching directly toward the audience chamber after smashing through Barracks 4. Han quickly understands the situation. The Lich is out of patience and coming himself. Instead of panicking, Han calmly orders the lizardmen to retreat and prepares the final line of defense. If the last barracks falls, the audience chamber will be completely exposed. Illuminatus smashes through Barracks 4 and arrives at the final barricade. Waiting, there are only 3 goblin fighters. Seeing them, the Lich laughs in disbelief. He cannot comprehend why 3 weak goblins are supposed to stop a 7-star undead king. The goblins refuse to budge. Standing shoulder to shoulder, they raise a giant golden cross in front of them. While Illuminatus mocks their hopeless stand, believing the battle is already over, he unleashes Death Tide. A massive wave of dark mana surges across the battlefield, swallowing everything in its path and threatening to instantly erase the 3 goblins. But instead of panicking, Han calmly tells Sage there was never anything to worry about. He planned for this exact moment hours ago. The story flashes back to before the wave starts, when our guy uses his premium gacha ticket and pulls an S rank item. He can barely believe his -100 luck. His reward, the Cross of the Primordial God, a legendary relic capable of destroying all evil. Its unique skill, straight to the Lord in one shot, has one crazy effect. It instantly vaporizes a nearby undead monster, completely ignoring its rank. Together, the 3 goblins activate the relic. Brilliant golden light erupts. The blinding beam bursts from the cross, instantly tearing through Illuminatus' Death Tide. It pierces the Lich King's skull. Illuminatus freezes. Shock freezes his face as he realizes what just happened. Out of everyone on the field, the skill randomly selects him. A massive holy explosion erupts, golden light tearing through the throne room. A critical notification flashes. Illuminatus is gone. But this hard-earned victory comes at a truly devastating cost. The relic shatters, taking the goblins with it. Hanul looks down at them and quietly whispers a soft apology. There was simply no other way to survive. Moments later, the system officially announces that the 70th wave has finally been cleared. Mere goblins completely crushed the legendary undead army he never even valued. But back in reality, Hanul spots a bizarre item left behind. It is called Illuminatus' half-body, a special grade relic containing the destroyed Lich's remains. The description is incredibly vague. Suddenly, the item peddler offers 5,000 gold for it. He knows the artifact is far too valuable to sell, but has absolutely no clue what it does. He turns to Sage for some advice, but even his summon is stumped. You know it is serious when even his walking encyclopedia officially blue screens. If only Hanul could reveal it himself. Then he suddenly remembers a reward from earlier and pulls it out. It is the glasses made specifically for beholders. He slides them onto Sage, and a new skill immediately unlocks. This advanced analysis skill reveals all hidden information. Delighted that his little plan worked, Hanul asks Sage how they fit. Sage happily bounces around in excitement and begins the deep scan. As the scan finishes, the shocking truth is finally laid bare. Illuminatus' half-body can be placed in his monarch castle's audience chamber. Meet the right conditions, and the item will fully resurrect Illuminatus. The 7-star Lich will become absolutely loyal. He will serve Hanul forever as one of his personal boss summons. Honestly, this is absolutely insane. Hanul freezes in complete shock. He always hated watching powerful boss monsters disappear after each wave. Now he can permanently recruit them. And not just any monster, but a legendary 7-star boss. Without hesitation, Hanul politely rejects the peddler's 5,000 gold. That gold is pocket change compared to owning the Lich King himself. Back in reality, Hanul arrives at Sanchin's workshop. He asks the old blacksmith if he seriously stayed awake all night. Sanchin proudly boasts that he did, and it was entirely worth it. All that intense labor paid off because he forged a true masterpiece. Hearing those words, Hanul's expectations instantly shoot through the roof. As they step inside together, anticipation builds to an all-time high. RTX 5090 chimes in before Hanul sees the reward, wondering if the old man forged something. A futuristic rifle, a set of combat armor, or maybe just some other broken gear. But then Sun finally walks over, carrying the completed piece in his hands. He simply hands it over. Hanul reaches out and freezes. The crafted item is a stunning crimson brooch, glowing with an intense, vibrant mana. Hanul freezes in shock, recognizing the legendary piece almost immediately. It is indeed the renowned Brooch of Glory, S-rank Bloodstone. Sorry, cannot believe it. It became an accessory instead of a weapon. Sun immediately barks at her. He worked all night crafting this. How dare she complain? Seeing the old craftsman getting upset, Hanul quickly steps in, assuring him that he absolutely loves it. Just then, Sage finishes analyzing the gorgeous accessory. Confirming it is an S-rank mental type equipment, Hanul realizes this is exactly the outcome he wanted. He happily accepts the brooch and thanks Sun. From the bottom of his heart, its passive effects are absolutely insane. The Brooch of Glory grants total immunity to mental attacks like charm and confusion, keeping the mind perfectly focused. Better yet, summoners can equip it too. Hanul instantly realizes just how massive this is. Seriously, mental immunity items are incredibly hard to find, and only a tiny handful exist worldwide. Seeing the young man so thrilled, Sun smiles warmly, advising him to use it well before finally heading off to sleep. Hanul is ecstatic to finally possess a top-tier S-rank item after leaving the busy workshop. Hanul heads toward the scenic hill behind his house, a nostalgic spot he has not visited in ages. Sitting on a familiar bench, he remembers his past. Whenever life got too heavy or anxiety kept him awake at night, this was his sanctuary. Now he smiles. Everything is different. He is no longer that helpless kid who used to run and hide up here. Then the system alerts him. All requirements for an audience with the Lord are finally complete. Crafting the Brooch of Glory was the final key he needed. Hanul immediately activates the skill. A massive portal opens. It leads straight into the grand audience chamber, granting him his first chance to speak directly with the castle's mysterious ruler. Hanul is incredibly thrilled, since he has a million burning questions to ask this silent sovereign. But get this, instead of talking, a bunch of dialogue options pop up, looking exactly like some outdated RPG from 2006. Slightly confused, he selects the greeting option. Instantly, the silent Dream Lord waves back from his throne. Hanul just stares. Is this a joke? Is this seriously how every conversation is going to work? A menu appears showing choices like monster status, durability, and casual talk. Hoping for something interesting, Hanul selects the memorial option. The sovereign explains that a solemn ceremony is currently being held for the brave monsters who fell while defending the castle's gates. When asked if he wants to attend, Hanul immediately understands. This is for the brave goblins who gave their lives during the last wave of attacks. Without any hesitation, he gladly accepts. The somber ceremony takes place around a massive bonfire, surrounded by mourning goblins. Hanul quietly kneels before the crackling flames. He thanks the brave goblins for giving their lives to protect his castle. Without their sacrifice, clearing the 702nd wave was totally impossible. He promises to remember. Once the funeral ends, the system chimes. The Dream Lord appreciates his attendance, sending him back to the menu. Next, Hanul checks the castle's durability. The Lord explains that repairs are already underway, but will take 2 full days to complete. Unless additional mana stones are supplied, Hanul keeps clicking through every single dialogue option, hoping for a personal connection. Instead, everything feels like reading dry castle maintenance reports. Finally, with nothing else left, he selects casual conversation. This time, the Dream Lord unexpectedly asks how he has been doing. Relieved to have a normal chat, Hanul answers simply. He says he is doing well. Suddenly, the Lord gets chatty. The monarch explains that the castle recently ran completely out of half-drake meat, forcing him to boil skeleton night horsebones for broth instead. Surprisingly, the soup tasted pretty good, so he recommended it to others. Sure, monsters do not technically need food, but still, the Lord believes they deserve a good meal, and get this, the Lord is actually a total baddie who happily chats about gathering herbs. In testing which ones are edible, Hanul just listens, totally baffled. Instead of a mysterious ruler, this boss behaves like a chatty home cook. The Lord spends 30 straight minutes passionately discussing recipes and gardening. Hanul expected ancient wisdom. He got fantasy Gordon Ramsay instead. Eventually, the conversation ends. The system alerts him that the Lord's favorability increases by 1 point. Hanul reflects on what he gained. The favorability boost is nice, but another issue worries him more. Hearing the Lord describe running out of food and struggling with supplies makes him realize the monarch's castle is in terrible shape. At this rate, surviving future waves will be completely impossible, unless he finds a way to reinforce the fortress itself. Later that night, our boy finally starts up another online live stream. Peering through his familiar holographic avatar, he greets his waiting chat. After a long absence, his regular viewers immediately flood the screen, excited to see him and asking why he disappeared. Several people beg him to explain the Garden of Meditation, but Hanul apologizes, saying he needs help with another matter. The chat instantly complains, having expected an epic story instead. Our hero explains he wants advice about a hypothetical game situation. He asks what they would do if they owned a defenseless castle, a fortress with almost no soldiers and no proper walls. The chat immediately starts throwing out random ideas and suggestions. One viewer bluntly says the castle is doomed and to quit. Another argues that hiring massive armies of monsters could work. But someone else immediately chimes in with a different plan. Someone points out that buying hundreds of monsters would completely bankrupt anyone. Soon, a viewer suggests recruiting a monster capable of producing its own army, instantly catching his eye. The viewer reminds everyone about an ant-type monster that spawns endless followers. Hanul immediately realizes that this creature could completely solve his troop shortage, wondering why he never thought of it before. The only real problem is figuring out where to find one. Just then, a longtime viewer named Bald is Strongest suddenly asks if Hanul is currently a B-rank hunter. Hanul confirms he is, wondering why that even matters. Moments later, the viewer reveals they just found a gate containing that exact monster and their own guild has already claimed it. They ask if Hanul wants to personally join them and capture it together. Hanul freezes in complete shock as he realizes that Bald is Strongest is actually a real hunter. Talk about a plot twist. The scene shifts to the Aegis Guild headquarters, where the Bald Guild Master sits completely alone. Slumps over his desk with a heavy sigh, grumbling that it looks like another promising rookie is slipping away. From everything he is hearing, Hanul is going to end up completely joining either Samurai or Pungbo instead of choosing Aegis Guild. News only makes things worse as headlines flood every single screen, reporting that a new rookie hunter has cleared the Garden of Deep Sorrow, featuring Hanul's photo. Another claims Hanul's decision has narrowed down to Pungbo and Samurai, with the two rival guilds practically fighting over him. Another article even shows Hanul meeting Samurai at Café Artorium, making it look like the deal is already done. The guild master throws his hands up in frustration, wondering why nobody seems to appreciate how great the Aegis Guild actually is. In his eyes, they are just as capable as other top guilds, and their intelligence network is the absolute best in the country. He really wants Hanul to join them, but right now that dream looks further away than ever, and honestly you can't blame him. Before longer, his office door bursts open and a stunning Russian beauty steps inside. He immediately recognizes Asha, telling her to stop treating him like a trashy boyfriend, reminding her to use his official title if rumors spread that their guild master gets pushed around by his own subordinate. It would be highly embarrassing. He grumbles that stress is going to make him bald, but Asha immediately fires back that he is already completely bald. After their usual bickering, he finally asks if she discovered another valuable gate, Aegis possesses. The best intelligence network in the country, and it all comes from Ashaz. Constellation ability, Eye of the Outer Dimension. The skill allows her to detect gates before they even open and identify the monsters waiting inside. Thanks to her, Aegis always knows where valuable dungeons will appear long. Before anyone else, watching her walk in so seriously, the guild master assumes she must have made another massive discovery. Instead, Asha shakes her head. This time it has nothing to do with a gate. She reminds him about the expedition scheduled for Saturday, the ranked dungeon she detected a month ago, and asks if he will be participating. He confirms he is because it's an important operation. Then she casually asks if she can bring a friend along. The request catches the guild master completely off guard, since Asha herself is an A-rank hunter. She is always welcome on expeditions, but the moment he asks about her mysterious online friend, the whole conversation takes a swift nosedive. Asha confesses this person is not an Aegis. She has no idea what guild they belong to, or even their actual rank. Then she drops the real bomb, revealing she has never actually met this stranger in person. Her guild master just stares, utterly speechless. He asks if she is seriously trying to bring some internet random into a dangerous dungeon. Asha quickly reminds him of his own complaints about being incredibly short-handed lately. He argues that is beside the point, because he still needs to know who this person actually is. He demands their guild rank or even their name, but Asha has nothing, zero. His brain completely short-circuits. Totally fed up with the nonsense, he asks if she is playing some kind of joke. She insists she is dead serious. She is certain they are a good person and promises he will understand. The guild master flatly refuses. No way, dungeons are not playgrounds where people actually die, not places to gamble on online friendships. Asha refuses to back down. She pleads with him, promising to take full responsibility for any issues and begging him to trust her just once. Seeing her look so unusually serious, the guild master finally relents. Since he is personally joining the raid, he can handle any trouble. Asha instantly lights up, pure excitement. Her crazy plan actually worked. He warns her that she is on the hook, and she happily agrees. A few days later, Kim Hanul arrives at the Sarakan gathering point, joining the massive crowd of hunters. As he steps into the dense forest, a familiar blonde carrying a massive rifle spots him and completely freezes. The trash game streamer she knows online is standing right in front of her. Hanul completely freezes, absolute shock. He cannot believe who is standing there. The shock quickly turns into introductions. Hanul realizes his online gaming buddy is actually this gorgeous vice leader of the Aegis Guild. She casually admits she never really tried to hide her identity, but she never expected the person behind that dead game stream to be the famous hunter Kim Hanul himself. She apologizes for keeping it a secret, explaining she wanted to reveal the truth during one of their future streams. Trying to break the ice, she makes a quick joke about his manly username, but Hanul silently points out that usernames do not have genders. Still, she is a formidable A-rank hunter and second in command of Aegis, ranked 20th in the entire country and widely known as the Libra Eye. With her rare constellation skill, her unmatched ability to analyze dungeons and detect deadly monsters makes her a legend. Hanul has heard all about her massive reputation, but he still cannot believe this is his bald gaming buddy. Fan meeting. Later, he decides they need to focus. They can save the catching up for later since they have a raid. The two hurry toward the gathering point as Asha warns him they really should not keep the others waiting. She mentions that their guild leader is extra sensitive lately due to his rapidly disappearing hairline. By the time they arrive, the guild leader is already waiting there with a pretty irritated look. He scowls and starts lecturing Anastasia for being late, pointing out that she is the vice leader and needs to set an example, but she just calmly points out that she verified the gate's opening time. They aren't late at all. The guild leader ignores her completely, reminding her how she begged him to let some random outsider join a critical expedition like this. He warns her that if this mysterious hunter fails to deliver, there will be heavy consequences. But then his eyes finally land on the guy standing right beside her. The mood shifts instantly the second he recognizes our guy as Hunter Kim. Hanul, his heart practically skips a beat. He completely drops the attitude, walking over with a massive, welcoming smile. Nearby, the rest of the raid team waits, with dozens of high-tier hunters ready for action. Hanul quietly thanks Anastasia for letting him tag along today. He knows that bringing a complete stranger onto a major raid is something most top guilds would never allow. Plus, this is technically their first time meeting in person. But she has spent enough time chatting with him online to know he is a reliable guy. That simple trust is why she vouched for him, which he truly appreciates. Anastasia casually admits that while she knows he is technically a B- rank hunter, she still doesn't get why someone with his insane talent wastes so much time streaming and playing incredibly trashy games. Before Hanul can even explain himself, the guild leader suddenly shouts out for everyone to get ready because the gate is finally opening. Massive lightning bolts tear across the sky as the dark rift forms overhead. Eerie violet light spills from the portal, but right as it appears, starts trembling violently. Hanul immediately senses that something is incredibly off. Sage bypasses normal systems, launching a specialized deep gate scan. System warnings flash rapidly, revealing hidden, classified data about the rift. But before Hanul can even read it, another red alert pops up, warning that the gate's interior has been altered by outside interference. His face hardens as the next screen reveals the boss waiting inside. It is no longer what they prepared for, it is now packed with burrowing flies, a monstrous, swarming nightmare of giant insects with glowing pink eyes. You can bet he instantly realizes something impossible is going down. He wants to warn guild leader Donpaul right away, but realizes that nobody will ever believe such a wild claim without proof. Then it hits him, Anastasia's constellation ability is the perfect tool. Her eye of the outer dimension can see right through unopened portals. He rushes straight to her, urgently asking for one more scan. She looks confused at first, but when he says the monster's changed, her playful demeanor instantly vanishes. This is dead serious now. Her eyes glow with a piercing blue light as she activates the skill. Peering deep into the swirling rift, within seconds, her confidence completely evaporates. He was right all along, something incredibly twisted has happened. She stares in absolute disbelief at the horror waiting inside. The beasts really have swapped. The guild leader notices her pale face and instantly realizes that something is horribly, horribly wrong. Without wasting a single second, Hanul urgently calls out to the guild leader. He tells Donpaul they must instantly abandon their original strategy. They must regroup, everyone needs to protect each other. Donpaul cannot understand why the young hunter wants such an inefficient defensive formation, but Hanul reveals the gate has completely changed. It is now filled with burrowing flies, and Asha supports his warning. The dungeon changed. Hearing this, he knows it is true. Donpaul immediately orders every hunter to switch to Formation D before the gate fully opens, which catches several of the hunters completely off guard. It ruins their long preparation. Still, nobody dares to argue. Once the command is repeated, the entire raid force quickly abandons their positions and rushes into the new defensive formation, observing them all. They made it. The guild leader quietly realizes they avoided the absolute worst. Meanwhile, Hanul calmly prepares himself as well, getting ready for battle. He activates Remnant's soul copy. He must be fully prepared. A deafening crash of lightning splits the sky as the gate finally bursts open. The air shakes violently as an enormous swarm of burrowing flies explodes out. Countless insect monsters pour across the battlefield, while an incredibly massive queen leads them from the center with glowing crimson eyes. Several hunters freeze in disbelief because these are not the monsters they expected. They wonder how burrowing flies could emerge from this gate. Donpaul quickly shuts down the panic, firmly reminding them. Even if the monsters changed unexpectedly, these burrowing flies are still only D-rank creatures. He activates Guardian Descent and Orange Mana erupts around his body as one of his arms becomes a massive beast-like claw. Roaring with power, he launches himself straight into the swarm and shatters dozens of burrowing flies in one devastating strike. Flames and shock waves rip through the sky as monster after monster falls from the air. Watching the attack, Hanul cannot help but be deeply impressed. He knows Donpaul is an S-rank hunter, but seeing that overwhelming strength in person is truly incredible. One single strike wipes out a huge portion of the swarm, proving why this guild leader is one of the strongest hunters in the country. Still, Hanul quickly realizes raw strength alone will not solve this problem. There are simply too many enemies for one hunter to handle alone. As he prepares to jump in, he suddenly looks up and freezes. The endless swarm keeps pouring out of the gate, without slowing down, blotting out the sky like a massive black cloud. Hanul stares at the overwhelming horde. Trust me, this is about to get wild. Beginning, suddenly, the guild's stunning sniper appears and attacks the swarm. With rapid rifle fire, each shot blowing holes through the insect swarm. Before they can reach the hunters, as the battle rages on, she notices something strange. The gate does not close even after. Monsters keep pouring out, and she quickly realizes this is no normal gate, but a fusion gate. Unlike ordinary portals, a fusion gate stays open until someone enters the dungeon and defeats the boss. Standing outside to farm is Uggs all day. No way, the boss has to go. She immediately decides that she and guild leader Dompel can clear it together, telling everyone they need to head inside right now. But before they can move, one monster suddenly dives straight at Anastasia. The attack comes out of nowhere, its crimson eyes flashing as it closes the distance. A hot, burning mark grazes her forehead, but before things get any worse, our boy steps in. Not today. A massive golden cross-shaped burst of energy erupts as Hanul blocks the attack head-on, shredding the bug apart and saving her. Once things settle, he calmly announces he is coming too. Anastasia immediately objects because she wanted to help him out, not throw him directly into even greater danger. But our main character makes it clear he never came looking for a free carry. He has his own goals inside this dungeon, and he plans to defeat the boss himself. Seeing the absolute determination on his face, she finally agrees. Dompel hears all this while smashing burrowing flies left and right with his blazing fists. He places team leader Kim Yong-ti in charge of the hunters outside, while he, Anastasia, and our guy form the main assault team. The three charge together without wasting another second. Dompel bulldozes through the swarm with overwhelming strength, and every single punch sends insects flying in pieces. Anastasia covers every opening with flawless rifle shots, easily picking off anything that slips past him, while Hanul cuts a clean path right through the chaos. They fight like a perfectly balanced party, forcing their way straight through the sea of monsters before leaping into the fusion gate together. Inside, they land in a long underground tunnel. The rocky walls spread deep into the darkness, making it pretty obvious this dungeon is nothing like what they expected. Our guy immediately summons Sage, and the little floating eye activates its scouting ability. Within moments, the system identifies the dungeon boss as the Hammer Queen Ant. The info reveals that she is an incredibly powerful production type monster capable of spawning hundreds of giant worker ants, and each one is several meters long. The moment Hanul sees that description, he realizes this is exactly what the Monarch Castle has been missing. Instead of hiring monsters one by one, this queen can produce an entire army. Talk about the ultimate cheat code. His summoner instincts kick in instantly. As they continue deeper, Dompel studies the rocky tunnels and concludes this was originally a massive ant nest. This makes them wonder why on earth burrowing flies are coming out of an ant dungeon instead. Hanul admits he does not know yet, but believes the answer is waiting right near the boss. They keep moving until Dompel suddenly stops and sees that the tunnel is completely packed with dead giant ants. Their bodies cover the floor from wall to wall as if an entire colony has been wiped out. At first, Dompel wonders if the ants slaughtered each other, but Anastasia immediately notices every single corpse has the exact same injury. Each ant has severed its own head. Even seasoned hunters have never seen monsters die like this. Hanul quietly pieces everything together and asks Anastasia if she remembers the host infection status effect. The answer hits both her and Dompel immediately. The burrowing flies are not simply invading the ant. These parasites are using the ants as living hosts. Hanul explains that the monsters act just like the real flies found on Earth. The parasites lay eggs inside the ants, slowly seizing control of their nervous system and forcing them to wander far away from the colony before making them rip off their own heads. The larvae and burst out from the corpse. This massive pile of dead ants is no battleground aftermath. Instead, it is a massive breeding ground left behind by the burrowing flies. Anastasia realizes the ants have been dying off slowly for a very long time, explaining why so many corpses are piled together before anyone can think further. Dompel suddenly catches a strange scent drifting through the tunnels. Hanul recognizes it immediately as the queen ant pheromone. At the same time, they hear heavy movement echoing through the dark underground passages. the burrowing. Flies are closing in from one side, while the pheromone trail leads toward the queen from another direction. If they hesitate, they risk getting trapped. Between both hostile forces, Dompel offers to lead, but Hanul volunteers, instead explaining that Sage can track the pheromone way better than any human. Sage immediately begins analyzing the trail, system windows appear one after another as the floating eye scans the lingering scent. At first, the scan results are nothing but broken fragments of static, bits of incomplete. Words slowly appear, only to vanish again as the analysis keeps refining itself. Then two words finally emerge: help me. Hanul freezes for a second as a disturbing image flashes through the analysis. It is only a brief glimpse of a bloodshot eye, but it is enough to leave him shaken. Dompel notices his reaction and asks if he is all right. Hanul brushes it off, admitting the analysis simply caught him off guard. Sage continues working until the scan finally completes. This time the full message becomes clear: help me, my child. The words repeat endlessly across countless system windows, until the entire tunnel is spammed with the same desperate plea: whatever is waiting deeper inside this dungeon is no ordinary queen ant, and Hanul realizes they have just uncovered something way creepier than a simple monster nest. The three keep pushing deeper into the tunnels, with Dompel leading the charge, while Hanul and Anastasia stay close behind. Sage continues tracking the queen ant pheromone trail, allowing Anastasia to guide the route with absolute confidence. Every turn brings them closer to the boss, but the deeper they go, the worse the air becomes. The tunnels are filled with a poisonous miasma, mixed with the pheromones, making every single breath heavier than the last. Anastasia manages to endure it thanks to the poison resistance she recently gained from her authority, but Hanul quickly notices that Dompel is beginning to slow down. Even the guild leader has limits to his stamina, and Hanul realizes they have to finish this dungeon fast before the poison wins the race. The group eventually reaches a massive stone wall covered in thick black slime. They smash through the final stretch of monsters blocking the way, carving a path past infected ants and burrowing flies. Bright fire erupts with every single punch from Dompel, while Anastasia keeps dropping monsters from a distance with flawless accuracy. Even after cutting through wave after wave, Hanul can tell both of them are steadily weakening with the deadly poison spreading rapidly. Hanul suggests taking on the boss room entirely alone. No chance. Both Dompel and Anastasia shut him down immediately. The guild leader refuses to let a guest clear their dungeon alone, while Anastasia points out that a top-tier guild cannot simply stand by and watch others work. They both know the deadly poison is becoming a massive problem, but they insist on fighting together. Hanul finally agrees to their decision. With everyone on the same page, they launch one final, aggressive charge forward. Dompel leads the charge, exploding forward with another devastating attack, his blazing fists smashing through waves of monsters and completely blowing open the tunnel. The massive shockwave tears through everything in front of them, but the toxic poison finally catches up. Thick purple miasma surges through his body, making him stagger and cough up blood. Anastasia also loses her balance. The toxic pheromones break her resistance. Seeing them collapse, Hanul immediately calls upon a powerful guardian to bless them. Glowing teal barriers form around Dompel and Anastasia, wrapping them in glowing shields that completely block the deadly miasma. The two recover enough to push forward while Hanul stays unprotected. With the poison temporarily under control, they finally enter the boss chamber, and trust me, you are not ready for this. A colossal insect queen sits there. Her massive body is covered in cracked crimson armor. Countless burrowing flies swarm her hard shell. One swollen eye constantly leaks pale fluid. She calmly calls out to Hanul. She calls him her child, begging him to step closer so she can finally see his face. The creepy, repetitive words make the entire scene feel wrong. Anastasia stares at the horrifying monster in absolute disbelief, unable to comprehend how any creature could look so twisted. Behind the queen lies an entire army of infected ants and flies, all moving with a strange, eerie glow in their eyes, but Hanul stays completely silent as the queen continues calling him closer. Sweat drips down his face because the whole situation feels incredibly suspicious. Before making his move, he turns back to Dompel and Anastasia to warn them not to attack the beasts about to appear, as they are actually his own tamed summons. A swarm of his burrowing flies arrives moments later, buzzing Around him as proof, Dompel just nods and accepts this without hesitation. At this point, he is beyond questioning anything. Hanul then prepares for battle. He opens his system and spends 1,000 gold to summon another lizardman unit, but pauses for a second after looking across the battlefield. The ground is covered with countless ant corpses and infected bodies, making the entire cavern feel more like a graveyard than a nest. Even Hanul cannot ignore how deeply unsettling this sight is. Still, he pushes those thoughts aside and completes the summon. The lizardman crashes into the enemy lines immediately, swinging its massive axe through infected ants, carving a bloody path straight toward the queen. At the same time, Hanul launches himself into the air with lightning crackling around his blade. Meanwhile, Dompel continues holding back the swarms, smashing through waves of insects while ordering his guild to keep the flying monsters away from Hanul. Together, they carve open a path for Hanul to reach the queen herself. As he closes in, she suddenly admits this idiot is not her child after all. The moment those words escape her mouth, the story slips into a memory from her past. Long before this nightmare began, the ant kingdom was peaceful. A royal messenger reports that several workers have fallen ill with an unknown disease. The queen calmly orders them to treat the sick as best they can. Soon, another report reveals that every infected worker has taken its own life. Hearing this, the queen orders her subjects to bury them with dignity, but the mysterious illness keeps spreading through the colony. More and more ants become infected and bodies begin piling up throughout the kingdom. Another servant warns that at this rate, the disease will reach everyone. The queen soon notices something is wrong with her own attendants. One of her children is twitching, completely unresponsive. Another desperate messenger begs her to abandon the kingdom before it is too late, but she refuses without hesitation. She declares that this is her home and she will never abandon her children. No matter what happens, right in front of her eyes, that final messenger is suddenly consumed by something unseen. Only then does the true enemy reveal itself. A tiny burrowing fly with glowing red eyes quietly emerges from the carnage. It has been using the ants as hosts all along, spreading through the colony from the inside. Eventually, it reaches the queen herself. Even after losing control of her own body, she continues resisting and refuses to abandon her kingdom until the very end. But the parasite slowly consumes her from within and takes complete control. The memory ends by revealing the horrifying truth. The massive queen standing before them is not truly alive anymore. The real ruler has long since been taken over, and the tiny burrowing fly is now sitting on top of her ruined head like a puppet master, controlling every movement. Using the queen's stolen body, it coldly orders the kingdom to continue serving as if nothing ever happened. Then, back in the present, the parasite finally drops the gentle act. It glares at Hanul with pure hatred and declares that he has no right to step inside its kingdom. When Hanul refuses to back down, the creature completely loses its mind. The queen's giant body lets out a monstrous roar as bright green energy gathers in its mouth, then explodes across the cavern in a massive blast. The attack floods the battlefield, engulfing ants, flies, and everything in its path. As the real boss fight finally begins, Dompel reacts first as the queen unleashes a massive wave of corrosive green energy into the battlefield. The toxic blast rushes toward everyone and Dompel jumps in front of the attack. Every muscle in his body strains as he forces the poisonous wave to a stop with pure strength. Then, Hanul activates Tears of the Ancient. A roaring torrent of crystal-clear water bursts around him, forming a giant vortex that swallows the poison whole. Instead of simply blocking the attack, the rushing water washes away both the toxins and the incoming burrowing flies. Anastasia watches in disbelief as he turns the enemy's own attack against them. Meanwhile, the corrupted queen roars that no one will destroy her kingdom or hurt her children before charging straight at him again, but Dompel refuses to give an inch and clashes with her head-on. While the queen is distracted, Hanul quietly prepares his move. Everything he triggers the Tricken defensive formation, throwing a massive shield around Zenkaru, who immediately digs his heels in to block every single fly rushing toward Hanul. Taking advantage of the chaos, Hanul slips past the swarm, closing in on the queen, but before he can make contact, a massive fly plunges down. Gono suddenly intercepts, tearing the beast completely to shreds before it lands. Moments after, Gono's summon time runs out, sending him back to the monarchs Castle, Hanul mutters a quick thanks for the time before telling Karu to hold off the rest of the swarm. Now the real power-up begins. Hanul triggers Lord's afterimage, stacking the massive stats of Illuminati's onto his own. Then he uses Vestige Copy to inherit Gono's strength and Raven's Wing Beat. The buffs multiply, driving his combat rating until it skyrockets. Sensing the danger, the Queen shoots a massive blast of corrosive poison. Hanul barely dodges the strike, pressing forward. At full speed, terrified, the Queen screams at him to stay back. But he completely ignores her, launching himself high into the cavern air. With every active buff, he is ready to take her down in a single leap. As he closes the distance, her furious shrieks turn to desperate cries. Fragments of her past flash by, leading her colony through endless hardships, desperately searching for a safe haven where her children could survive. She remembers battling brutal enemies just to carve out a home from nothing, asking if anyone could ever understand the heavy price her children paid to build that home. Hanul does not pretend to understand. He knows he never walked in her shoes, so claiming to feel her grief would be a lie. But he knows his only choice now is to put her out of her misery, so Hanul brings his blade down with full force. Every stacked buff merges into one devastating strike. The raw power of Illuminati's, Gono, and Raven erupts simultaneously as his blade slices straight through the parasite, infesting the Queen. A brilliant flash blinds the cavern and the system confirms the target is dead. It is like Hanul pressed Alt F4 on the entire hive. Every single burrowing fly shuts down and plummets to the earth. This sudden quiet catches everyone off guard. Dompel looks around, wondering what went wrong, but Anastasia is already scanning the room with her analysis skill. She reveals that Hanul destroyed the parasite controlling the Queen, which instantly deactivated the entire hive. Dompel asks if they should finish off the helpless Queen, but Anastasia shakes her head. The parasite had already eaten away almost all of her physical body, leaving her as nothing but a puppet. Without the host, she has only moments left. For the very first time, the Queen speaks with a clear mind. She quietly says the fog has finally lifted, letting her see the world again. Looking across the ruined remains of her kingdom, she accepts that her home is already fallen, but Hanul steps in, refusing to let her give up. He tells her that her kingdom does not have to end here, offering a new refuge within the monarch's castle where they can rebuild their home from scratch. Instead of fading away forever, he asks her to lend her strength. She hesitates, asking if a fallen kingdom can truly rise again. Finally, she accepts, promising to protect this new kingdom instead. The system immediately registers her decision, and Sage gets to work. Sage finishes analyzing the pheromones while she peacefully accepts her fate. The dungeon clears and massive rewards begin pouring in for Hanul. He receives a space ticket, premium gacha, and 5,000 gold. A soul stone unlocks, followed by the biggest reward of all. The system announces that Amore Queen Akasha has officially joined them. She awakens inside her new home, quietly taking in the view. Looking at the towering castle, she makes a silent promise. This time she will protect this kingdom. The dungeon is cleared. The group steps back through the gate as the violet lightning fades. The waiting hunters instantly breathe a massive sigh of relief. Madame Paul steps up, thanking the entire raid team for working hard. But just as everyone relaxes, Sage finishes analyzing the gate. Hanul checks the results and learns the mutation was not natural. It changed because of an outside force called interference. Sage even spots the exact source hidden among the dungeon rewards. An unknown item called the Fragment of Interference. The description says it can alter monsters and entire dungeons, creating completely different outcomes. Hanul has never seen anything like this. He wonders if something like this exists, who could possibly be using it, and how many other dungeons have already been quietly corrupted by it. With the raid officially over, Hanul hands a valuable drop over. He gives the concentrated pheromone pouch to Madame Paul without any fuss. The guild leader hesitates because of the price, but Hanul insists. After everything that happened, he definitely deserves it. Madame Paul jokingly notes that Hanul still lacks a guild. But Anastasia quickly steps in and shuts down the recruitment talk. She firmly reminds everyone that it is time to head home. The leader laughs that Hanul already promised to spend time with her. Anastasia gets completely flustered, and Hanul wisely stays quiet. Later, Hanul meets Anastasia at Café Haute to finally fulfill his promise. People recognize the famous Aegis Vice leader and quietly whisper among themselves. They quietly wonder who the guy sitting across from her is. While she acts like a typical fan, she has actually supported him forever. Hanul is totally caught off guard as she laughs at his stream. She knows that the streamer trash game is actually Kim Hanul. She compliments his raid skills and asks about his strange summons. Hanul carefully avoids saying too much, calling it a unique ability. She wonders why a genius like him spent years streaming bad games. Hanul simply says he had his reasons for staying hidden. He asks her to keep his true identity as a streamer a complete secret. Anastasia agrees, but only if he promises her another meeting. Before leaving, she sincerely thanks him for saving her leader and the whole expedition. Hanul accepts the gratitude with his usual modest attitude, brushing it off. He acts like it was nothing. Back home, he immediately focuses his attention on the Monarch Castle, a new feature unlocks that allows monsters to defend against future waves, wasting no time. He drops gold on a space ticket to build a manufacturing room. Once construction finishes, he checks Akasha's profile and discovers one of the strongest abilities yet, her kingdom construction skill. Automatically spawns an entire ant colony wherever she is stationed, simply. Placing her in barracks instantly produces 50 soldier ants and 40 cannon. Ants plus 10 legion commanders. Hanul realizes how broken this is. Since these monsters replenish after every wave, defending the castle just became much easier. Talk about unlocking infinite reinforcements. Tower defense fans are crying tears of joy. He checks the castle. Hanul notices something strange sitting beside the Dream Lord's throne. A small pile of bones catches his attention. Zooming in, he recognizes a bust. Intrigued, he taps it. The system responds by saying. He gently pats the bust, instantly increasing the favorability of Aramadus by 1 point, reaching 100 points of favorability will fully awaken him, but spamming interactions can actually reduce affection after a cooldown. Hanul instantly understands the assignment. The secret to reviving an ancient lick is regular emotional support. Before he can experiment further, another notification pops up. The Dream Lord herself requests a chat. Hanul accepts and discovers the topic is Akasha. She asks if someone who failed to protect her kingdom truly deserves to be called a lord. The system enables voice input, so Hanul can answer personally. After thinking for a moment, he gives a simple but sincere response. Akasha is absolutely worthy because she fought for her kingdom until the very end and never abandoned her people. To him, that makes her a true lord. Akasha quietly thanks him for his honest answer, and the talk ends. Moments later, the system announces her favorability has jumped by 10 points. Reaching that milestone unlocks an ability as a reward, granting Hanul the skill Lord Swordsmanship, ordinary horizontal slash. He is completely stunned, but immediately decides to test it. A glowing golden sword forms, and he swings it once. A brilliant slash of light cuts the air. Incredible power. Before he can even admire the attack, another system notification suddenly appears, making Hanul stop in his tracks. He realizes the skill is hiding something even bigger. Golden lightning bursts through the small room as Hanul unleashes a blast of blue and gold mana. The energy shakes the entire house before he quickly pulls it back. Even with the skill cancelled halfway, the shockwave alone sends debris flying in every direction. Hanul stares at the mess in complete disbelief. If he had let the attack run for even one more second, he almost made himself homeless. Touching the cracked wall, he admits he got way too carried away. Testing a skill this powerful inside his own house was a terribly dumb move. Before he can dwell on it any longer, a new system notification pops up. It announces that the manufacturing room is finally complete. That immediately grabs his attention, since he thought it would take way longer. Eager to check it out, he opens the new feature right away to see what it does. The system explains this room can craft various different items. It uses the monster materials he collected during the defense waves. Checking his inventory, Hanul finally understands why he kept gathering all these materials. He currently has 20 wyvern bones and 10 half-dragon scales. Add 5 half-dragon hearts and 500 skeleton powders. Plus he even has the undead lick heart taken from Alamdus. Looking closely, Hanul realizes these are not random drops at all. Wanting to see what he can make, Hanul opens up the crafting menu. The moment it appears, his eyes widen at the highest grade recipes. The list has potions for poison resistance, curse resistance, and fire resistance. There is even an incredibly rare highest grade light attribute enhancement scroll. The system explains that any item he selects will be crafted automatically. Even better, these items can be used freely in the real world. That detail shocks Hanul the most, making him read the description twice to be sure. Confirming he did not misunderstand, he selects the light enhancement scroll. Light gathers. Moments later, a finished scroll appears. Hanul quickly picks it up, examining the item from every single angle. It looks exactly like the official ones sold by the Hunter Association. There is no difference, making him realize the system is crafting genuine items. No fakes here. The first thing Hanul does is check the market price. The prices almost give him spiritual damage. Just one highest grade scroll is valued at a whopping 100 million won on the open market. Top-tier health potions go for 50 million, and mana potions for 40 million. Speed potions are 20 million each. Doing the math, Hanul slowly starts to grin. With enough materials, he can keep crafting these incredibly expensive items forever. To be absolutely certain, he decides to craft the remaining recipes right now. Bright flashes of light fill the room as more potions appear. Poison, curse, and fire resistance potions pile up around him. He carefully compares every single bottle with the official Hunter listings. And yep, they are all confirmed to be genuine highest grade products. The poison resistance ones sell for 30 million won each. Curse resistance goes for 20 million, and fire resistance for 10 million. Holding a bottle in his hand, Hanul can barely hide his excitement. Other hunters spend absolute fortunes on these, but he can just print them. At this moment, Hanul realizes he is not just leveling up anymore. He is about to become filthy rich, a total game changer. But across the city, the scene shifts to a luxurious penthouse office. A man wearing a sharp, wine-red suit sits behind a massive desk. Smiling confidently, he quietly mutters that another absolute fool has walked in. He walks straight into his trap. The office door opens. A masked man enters. The visitor wears sunglasses, followed closely by a smaller hooded figure. The guild leader immediately assumes this masked man is the hunter Kim Woo-jin. The hunter seeking sponsorship, the masked visitor calmly nods. Curious about the kid beside him, the leader asks who the smaller figure is. He explains it is his son, claiming the kid insisted on tagging along. He asks if the boy can stay during the meeting. The leader agrees. Laughing, he says that is fine, joking that the boy adores his father. Once everyone sits down, the guild leader begins explaining their business model. He explains that the Black Dog Guild specializes in sponsorship contracts. They offer hunters expeditions, supplies, and support. In return, the guild buys all the dungeon materials they collect. They purchase these items for 15% above the standard market price. 1 million won item elsewhere sells here for 1.15 million. He confidently asks if that makes sense. The masked visitor nods. Seemingly impressed, he asks how they profit while paying such high rates. The guild leader admits their profit margins are actually pretty thin. Because of this, every contract contains one crucial condition. Hunters must trade at least 500 million won in items monthly. If they fail to reach that target, heavy penalties automatically apply. The masked visitor calmly asks if an ordinary hunter can make that much. The leader confidently replies that it is easy with their guild expeditions. Although he cannot reveal all the details, he insists the system works. He tells the masked visitor there is absolutely nothing to worry about. Hanul quietly nods, then he asks one final question. He leans forward. He calmly asks if the guild can prepare 1 billion won today. The smile instantly vanishes from the leader's face. He freezes, total silence. He thought he was about to scam another clueless rookie. He was dead wrong. He literally just invited the actual final boss right into his private office. Repeating the sum of 1 billion won, the leader confidently says yes. They have plenty of cash, but he wonders why Hanul needs so much. Hanul casually brushes it off, saying he wanted to ensure they could pay. Many small guilds make big promises, but go broke when it is time. The leader quickly reassures Hanul that meeting the monthly target is easy. Internally, the leader laughs. The trap is set. It is over. If a hunter fails to meet the minimum trading requirement, they lose. They automatically violate the contract, becoming a slave for life. But Hanul immediately spots the massive catch in their unfair terms. He asks why only the hunter faces such a harsh penalty. Shouldn't the guild receive the exact same punishment if they fail? That simple question completely shatters the guild leader's incredibly smug smile. He silently curses, realizing this customer is going to be pretty difficult. Still, he quickly forces another fake smile and nods in agreement. He agrees to add a matching penalty clause for the guild as well. Then Hanul invites him closer to review the newly adjusted contract. The guild leader's jaw drops the moment he spots the magical contract parchment. Hanul calmly explains how it works. Breaking this deal means your chosen body part burns. It is the ultimate guarantee to prove that both sides are acting in good faith. The leader scrutinizes every single line of the newly revised document. He confirms the brutal penalty applies to both of them equally now. With a nod, they both place their hands flat onto the parchment. Glowing red symbols spread across the paper, sealing their deal in blood-red light. The guild leader secretly sneers, entirely sure this trap will destroy Hanul instead. The deal is locked. Instantly, Hanul wastes zero time. He signals his hooded companion to finally reveal all of the massive loot. Without a single word, the small figure dumps a massive pile of treasure on the desk. Scores of rare potions and scrolls cover the wood, leaving the leader completely speechless. He stammers, asking if Hanul actually gathered all of this alone. Hanul simply nods, explaining the pile holds 150 resistance potions. There are also 3 holy scrolls, meant for tearing through undead monsters. At standard market value, these items are worth roughly 1.8 billion. With the promised 15% bonus, it hits 2.7 billion. The guild leader completely freezes, staring blankly at the mountain of wealth. It is like his soul escaped his body. No ordinary B-rank hunter should have this. Desperate to prove it is a lie, he pulls out an appraisal tool. He frantically scans every single item, holding his breath as the results load. Every single potion and scroll is verified as genuine and freshly crafted. These were made directly from raw materials, not bought from some middleman. But the greedy leader refuses to accept reality. Polite salesman act, gone, replaced instantly by something ugly. He turns into a total gaslighter, accusing Hanul of attempting a cheap scam. He argues there is zero actual proof that Hanul sourced these goods himself. He claims the guild owes nothing and that Hanul should pay the penalty instead. Without a second thought, the corrupt leader snaps an order to his secretary. He tells Town to tear the magical contract to shreds immediately. The moment he touches the magical paper, things go terribly wrong. A bright system alert suddenly pops up, informing Hanul of something massive. He has officially unlocked level 2 of the contract nullification skill. At that very instant, the paper unleashes a violent blast of crimson energy. The destructive backlash bypasses Hanul completely and hits Town instead. The secretary flies backward across the room as red flames engulf his arm. Sweat pours down the guild leader's face as he watches in sheer terror. His own wicked scheme has completely backfired. Talk about instant karma. As heavy smoke fills the room, Hanul steps forward, completely unbothered. He looks straight at the trembling guild boss and quietly lays down options. He lays out 2 choices: pay the 2.7 billion immediately, or lose the use of his own body.